When joining this church in 2007, nakwambia ilikuwa imeshika moto, we were told the world is ending. Do you know what happened? People sold their properties. And mimi, I'm a witness. Hata do you know kwa nini watu wengi waliacha shule then? Dunia inaisha. Watu wengi waliacha kazi kwa nini? Dunia inaisha. I discovered I had cancer stage 2. I went and told my bishop, nikamwambia mimi nasikia na niko hivi. Someone tells you, why are you struggling? You are healed. Wewe wachana na dawa. Uko sawa kabisa. Actually nilikuwa nimeacha kumeza dawa kabisa. And I became bad.
Kwani mfai kunywa madawa, mfai kwenda hospitali?
In the process when a pastor is praying, the final itakuwa, for those who are sick, you are healed in Jesus' name. Whatever you are using, don't use it anymore. What are you using? So you are using medication. You stop. When you stop, what happens? You die.
Being a single mother, she's the only person that I'm looking up on. If she dies, I have no one else. Because this is just someone who comes and tell you that you are healed and they don't even have a relationship with you. They don't know how you...
How do you feel that she left?
Relieved. I got my mother back fully. I really feel like at least our relationship is not as strained as it was.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of LNS. My name is Lynn Ngugi, and honestly, I can't thank you enough for the support that you have given us on our previous episodes. And I love that we are continuing to learn and relearn, because I always say this is the year of truth. And you know, one of the best quotes I've ever had is, say your truth even if your voice shakes. Does it make sense? Like, say your truth. No matter what is happening in your life, there is always light in truth. And I know today's episode is going to touch a lot of people. And I know at the end of the day, you will understand why this episode is very important to us and to our community. We continue talking about cults. We continue talking about false prophets. We continue talking about people who are even telling you, do not take your medicine. You are healed in Jesus' name, quote unquote. And then today, obviously, I will say, even before we go any further, after you listen to this episode, ask yourself, what can you do for this woman and her son? And I don't want to give out so many details. I will let the guest walk us through her story, ndio muielewe vizuri. But before I let her introduce herself, of course, I want to take this moment and thank our incredible supporters at Kings Developers Limited for always coming through and supporting our episodes. It takes a lot to be able to bring you guys these episodes. And when we walk this journey with our people at Kings Developers Limited and other partners, that's a moment we do not take for granted. So if you are looking into owning a home with an ISO certified real estate company, why don't you try our people at Kings Developers Limited? I can't wait to see what they have for you this year, but I loved every opportunity of visiting their properties. And not only do they have upper end apartments for you, but they also have medium range and also affordable housing. Check them out. Their numbers are on the screen, or walk to their beautiful building at Prism Towers, Hapo Upper Hill, and tell them Kings Lean Centers. And I hear you have a flexible payment plan. So what can you do for me? Be business partners. And also to say thank you to you guys for watching this. I do not take you for granted. And also my incredible team that gets to put this work together. You know what I say, you see this woman in front of you, but it takes an entire team to be able to put this work together. So shukran. And now, of course, without further ado, please allow me to let my guest today introduce herself so that she can be able to walk us through her story, and we see what are we able to learn and relearn. Hello. How are you?
I'm fine.
I know that's what people say. Let's go back. How are you?
Generally, we say we are fine. But in life, we deal with a lot of issues, which is okay. Because at the end of the day, we have to overcome them.
It's really good to have you here.
Thank you, Lynn.
On
Thank
today's
you.
show.
I'm so much humbled to be here and to see you in person. For real.
I hope you feel at home. I hope una feel uko home.
Yeah, I am.
You are
I
home.
am. Mhm.
Yeah, and I know it has taken a lot of strength. You've pulled a lot of strength to come have this conversation. That's not something I take for granted. But before we go deeper into your story, maybe looking at that camera, could you introduce yourself and tell our people maybe what do you do?
Hello, Team LNN. My name is Molly. I'm a single mother of one. Generally, I love business. I used to be an entrepreneur, but I'm no longer doing that. Apart from that, I love fashion and I love myself.
What do you love about yourself?
I love that I'm aggressive, very. And that gives me hope daily. I also love that I'm a good mother to my son.
Oh, means you're a good mom.
Yeah, to my son. That one I believe. Because it has not been easy. Yeah, raising him. You know, I got him when I was very young. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I love that he's also here. And I love what he said, because we couldn't have him here when we are filming this, so that he maybe doesn't break him. But he said, Mom, you got this. You're strong. How did that make you feel?
I feel good because this journey, it has not been easy. It's just been the two of us. And now God in the picture. But physically, it's him and I. So each and every situation, whether good or bad, we are together.
Okay.
Yeah, because he doesn't know any other person in the picture. Yeah, so in those situations that we've been through, at times you don't need to be in class to learn. You learn through experience. So he's gained a lot. And as for his age, he's really gone through a lot as a child. Yenye kafanya mature haraka, he's really matured up very fast. Yeah, so at times I feel sorry for him, but again, it's life. Because some things happen, not that I like. Because even at some point he was telling me, when I grow up, I wouldn't want to have children. Then I'm telling him why. He's telling me, mimi ile maisha nimegrow, I don't want. So he's telling me the kind of life I've been. I wouldn't want my children to go through that. Maybe when I'm ready, which is okay. I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah.
And that is his choice. When the right time comes, he will make the right choice.
Good. Wow, such a strong young man right there. And we will talk about him because there's something I want maybe our audience to help us with. But we are about to listen to your story. This is the part I sit back and let you walk us through our story so that our audience understand why are we having this conversation. But maybe before, let me ask you a question I ask a lot of guests on the show. Why do you want to share this part of your story?
Basically, I would say I have 3 reasons. One, I want to create awareness about religion. 2, Namia, because as a person, as an individual, on behalf of my son and I, we need help. Yeah, and I'm not ashamed to look for help anymore.
Good.
Yes.
And you're at the right place.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Take us through from a point you are comfortable with. Take us through your life so that we get to understand, number one, how was your past like? When did you get initiated into this cult? And also, why did you exit? And what are your struggles? And how can our people come through for you?
Okay. Thank you, Timlin. Like I said earlier, my name is Molena, though people call me Molly. Yeah, like I said, I'm a single mother of one. You've seen my boy. I love him so much, by the way. So, I was born in Kisumu, but I've grown up in Nakuru. I came in Nakuru in 1997. That's when my parents passed. So I was taken by a guardian with my aunt, the sister to my mother. So they were staying in Egerton. So my aunt, together with the husband, were working in Egerton. Yeah. So my aunt was a primary school teacher, and my uncle was a lecturer. Yeah, so that time I think I was in class 4. Around 1997, 98, I was in class 4. Yeah. So most of my life I've grown in Nakuru. So Nakuru is my home.
Okay.
Yeah. So growing up, it had challenges, but as a child, of course, unajua maisha ya kitambo ilikuwa, that was tough love.
Yes.
Parents were very strict. And what I would love to say about my aunt is a very strict woman, very. But she loved knowledge. So watoto wote, all of us who were in that house, she ensured she wanted us in school. Wakati yote tulikuwa tunaona kama ni torture. But you come later in life, unaanza kusema enyewe she was helping us, or they were helping us, whoever mwenye alikulea. Juu unajua kuna mwenye atakulea lakini hata shule hata kupeleka through.
Yes.
But me I thank God for my aunt. Though hatukuwa na relationship mzuri, but alikuwa anapenda masomo sana, you know, being a primary school teacher. So she ensured, because now it was me and my cousins. In fact, we were cousins.
Yes.
Now she had adopted us, because now we see we were orphans. Na kulikuwa na wengine.
Oh.
So in that home, kila aliensure sana
Ni masomo.
Ni masomo, by the way, Lynn. That one. And I'm proud of her for that. You see wengi. Not many can do that.
Yeah. Na wengine ili wasomesha watoto
wao,
ubaki ukifanya ile job ya.
Yeah. Even as much as you are working, school was a must. Because there is no single day tulikaa nyumbani, haujaenda shule. Then I grew up in Egerton University, Maine.
Yes.
In Egerton, that environment, I really thank God for that environment, by the way, Lynn. That was a very good environment then to grow up in. Do you know why? Everybody valued education. So you couldn't see someone's child walking aimlessly. Ingekuwa kwa nini uko shule? So all of us, most people were in school, unlike nowadays. So I schooled in a primary school called Kilimo. Uko tu hapo ndani, ndani ya university. I proceeded, nikatoka, I went to a boarding school here in Nakuru still. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention or not to mention.
Feel free.
I went to Carol Academy later. Then I passed very well, but now there are no resources. So I had to join a day school within the university.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is in 2 or 3, I was in Form 1. Then I finished my Form 4 in 2006. Now, but in between Form 1 and Form 4, I really had a lot of challenges. Now you see, I'm in a day school. We are within the university.
Yeah.
Now. No. You know, I got my son. Actually, I did my examination while pregnant.
Form 4.
Yeah, while I was expectant. And it was very stressful.
Hebu turudi before utatufanya hivyo, turudi stage ya kukatiwa. Huyu nani anakuingisha box?
No, actually, even we were in the same school. His father, but he's no longer there.
Okay.
He like, not like he's dead. He's just there, but
not in his life.
Deadbeat fathers. So you are in school. Tunasoma ndio pia, lakini pia tunapendana at the same time. Sasa mimi, that caused a lot of trouble. In fact, sasa shida yangu na familia yangu ilianzia hapo sasa. My uncle is not a very talkative person. Yeye alikuwa tu mtu wa kunyamaza, anaangalia, then he makes a decision. And I remember for the first time, wakati when I got expectant, for the first time, my uncle alinipiga. He was a very quiet man. Unge imagine hata. Because now I was being asked, who is responsible? Then, like rudely, I could say, mnataka kujua ya nini.
Ungeambiwa.
So, you know, the father of my son, then, okay, he came from a humble background. I mean poor, like poor. There's a place called Kiingo. I don't know if you know it. Pastigaton tu huko mbele. So walikuwa naishi hapo huko. So sisi tunakaa ndani. So wakati watu waiga tulikuwa tunajuana si ndio masonko.
Kuisha. Go Molly.
Yeah, so we were known to be the ones, Hao ndio kusema, you know. But there was love because we could mingle a lot even with the children from the slums. Like there was a slum used to be called Jokerio.
Yes.
Yeah, we could mingle a lot. So hatukuwa tunaona, hatukuwa na class. During our days there was no class. So the father of my son was being sponsored by whites then.
Okay.
Sasa mtu si alinifunza kujua pesa mapema. By the way, I love money so much.
Yes, okay.
Sasa, he could give me cash, like literally cash. Do you know me, nilikuwa nangana, nilikuwa msichana mdogo. I used to be very beautiful by the way.
But you are still beautiful. Nini.
So, yeah, alikuwa nakaa.
Nilikuwa
naslay. Do you know that guy could give me money? Actually, kumbuka nimekwambia my aunt was very strict.
Yes.
So that home, in fact, me usema, maybe what we lacked was love. But any other thing, siwezi sema kulikuwa poverty. Remember, my aunt was working, my uncle is working. But anyway, some people work, but they're still poor.
Yes.
So,
Good.
I wouldn't say kulikuwa na poverty. But I think there was a lot of dysfunctionality. Even in, I think they may affect that growing up. Because even now, when I came now, nimesha toka shule, nimeanza sasa kujitambua vizuri. I really cling to be loved and to be recognized. And sometimes you can use bad ways to do that. So, in the process, that is in 2006, I did my papers in 2006. So in between, I came now to give birth to my son in 2007. But it was a real struggle. Now, relationship yangu na watu wangu ikakuwa, not even, I wouldn't say shaky. It was bad. It was bad because now the point we couldn't even see an eye to eye with my uncle or my aunt. Yeah, I'm a disappointment because now this is a bright child. Alikuwa na future. Kumbuka nimekwambia, my aunt ni mtu ana value education kabisa. Up to now, she values education. Even though we don't talk, lakini hiyo ni kitu, ilikuwa moto yake. Like, you stay in a house, you have to go to school. Yeah, so, this time, changamoto imeanza. So, unakumbuka ni day school. Sasa si mimi naenda kwa aunti yangu niseme kwetu. But now the father to my son, ni wale watoto walikuwa nakombeshwa nyumba nje.
Yes.
So you can imagine weekends unashinda wapi. Nyumbani imekustress ni wapi unashinda. Si huko tu unaenda. Yeah, so hivyo tu. So though he was supportive, mimi sijui nini nilimfanya baadaye. I wouldn't say he was bad. He was very supportive that time because at some point, sikusoma all third term. I had to run away to go stay with the brother in Nairobi so that nikuje tu nifanye mtihani. Then tujue kutakuwa aje. Yeah, so that's what happened. Though nilikuwa na changamoto mingi, I did my form 4, I passed. 2007 nikajifungua mtoto wangu, my son in April. Is a Easter baby. Is an Easter baby. Yeah, so I got a chance sasa kwenda campus. Now nikaitwa kufanya biochem. Kosa utendeka. Mimi nimeshafanya makosa. Now my aunt is trying to find a way tutakaa aje. But it was bad. Now the relationship sasa imekuwa mbaya kabisa. Now remember, church sasa imeanza kushika. That is the time. In fact, now that is the time it started now. The year. Na ilikuwa moto kabisa. Si mimi niko na changamoto zangu. Juu sasa nyumbani nikienda sina amani. Yani nasikia tu niko out of place. Watu wananiangalia vibaya, my cousins and all that, like you brought shame to this family, of which it was a very big shame. Because unakumbuka nimekwambia watu wa staff walikuwa na class, walikuwa na recognize as who is who. Then na hakuna kitu kama hiyo iliwaifanyika. Getting pregnant while you are in school. Umevunja rekodi. Nikakuwa pioneer. Wacha hivyo. You see now when you do such mistakes, the society pia inakutenga. Wanasema boma ya fulani. And you know, they used to have surnames. Like unasema boma ya fulani. Those surnames, na zilikuwa zinajulikana. Unge miss boma ya mtu. So my uncle was a very prominent guy. Sasa ukisema, alikuwa anatoka ile boma.
And he was a lecturer.
It was bad. It was bad. Actually, it was bad. It was very stressful. So actually, my life ilianza crumble down as from 2006 sasa. So in 2007, the church starts. Mimi, I feel, I need somewhere to go and get solace. Juu sasa, auntie yangu amekuwa mkali extra. Cousins zangu, we are not talking.
You feel rejected.
And no, this is someone who has, exactly, you feel rejected. And that's how I've felt ever since. Because now you see, the father of my son lives. Auntie yangu pia ndi huyo.
He left.
The guy left. Ako ngambo actually. He's in Sweden. He's based in Sweden. He just went and started his life all over again, like nothing happened. But it is okay anyway. Because I really tried connecting my son, connecting with him. But you've been trying to connect with someone for over 18 years. No, for over. Because my son is 17 now. Na mtu haezi shughulika. You feel there is a problem, so you don't force.
You leave it alone.
Yeah, you leave it alone, because at some point people used to tell me that I'm poisoning my child. Now nawaambia, because me, I never told him anything bad kuhusu the dad.
The father.
Yeah, and in fact the dad left when he was months old. I think 4 months. Now what hurts me the most, the father has been coming just in Nakuru. He comes and visit. So when you tulisoma now, unajua that is our home area. They keep on, tukikutana na niambia, tulikutana na so and so. Kwani wewe muonangi? Like wewe muonangi? No, now you feel like you are so humiliated. So they even tell you, hata tulikuwa na yeye, tulikunywa na yeye, alitununulia, And me, I'm really struggling. Actually now my son and I, basically we've grown. Tumelelewa na watu. We've grown in the hands of people. Because now it reach a point my aunt hakuanataka kuniona. But I'll come to that now later. So tumelelewa na watu. In fact wamama wengi wa Egerton ndio wamenilea na wakanilelea mtoto. It was not easy. So the church comes in. Now that is in 2007. Now I'm so lonely. I feel so rejected. Yani I feel niko down, nimeisha kabisa, nimeleta aibu. I am a total failure. Yani nasikia vibaya kabisa. I happened to join campus, but now I dropped when I was in second year. Now reason being, sasa 2007 nimeingia church kabisa. Niko sawa, in fact nasikia I've been accepted. And then these things, now even now when you go to the church, by then you feel very comfortable. Wacha nikwambie. Because do you know why you feel comfortable? No one will caution you even if you do something wrong. Because even at your age, when nimekwambia back in Egerton, ungeonekana unatembea, someone could ask you why are you not in school? But in the church nobody, hakuna mtu anakuuliza hivyo. And the worship was wow then. In fact when it started ilianza vizuri by the way. So inakuvutia. Sasa mtu kama mimi, I was being told by a friend, we kuja twende church yetu. Kuja. So ni hivyo tu. And the sad thing is, when you are going, you go as a group. But when people are leaving, they're leaving one by one. They will not even let you know they left. Because of the shame. People don't want to talk about it, and fear na pia depression. Itakugonga juu. Nikakutana na wewe, na niseme, maybe you are the one who lured me into this church. Then, I'll ask you, Lynn, where are you nowadays? So people are avoiding such questions. And you remember, maybe we entered together. So when leaving, why did you leave me behind? Kwa nini hukuniambia there is a problem here, I think we should leave? So the people who have left, it has been private.
Let's go back. Because you've joined Egerton to study biochem. So at least auntie bado anasukumana nawe kimasomo.
Na ukumbuke kuna mtoto.
Yes. So kuna mtoto, auntie is not giving up on you kimasomo, but you go to uni and you decide I'm
leaving because I'm serving God. Nimeshapata nyumbani, mimi I'm comfortable.
Kwani you stay in church now?
No, see, now then sasa remember my relationship now with my aunt ilikuwa constrained. It was bad because we couldn't see eye to eye. It was very bad because now most of the time you argue, and then you see these are the kind of things even that attract curses later without you knowing. Because even the fourth commandment inatuambia tuheshimu baba na mama. We honor our parents by the way, which is good. It's a good commandment. But now then, when you are doing something, you feel it is right. you are not supposed to be told anything. Nobody should caution you, this is bad Molena, this you did this isi mzuri. Nakumbuka, I've already stained the family's name because these are big people with the names. So it was bad. So at some point I had to leave. So I go to the church. Now when I first went to the church, I felt so welcomed. I was okay. Vizuri kabisa. Sasa saa hiyo I'm hustling on my own. Nimerent nyumba yangu huko nje. There's a place called Gate, kwa Gate. It's before now you reach Egerton University ndani, iko tu na hapo nje. Watu wengi wanaita diaspora.
Ushaenda diaspora.
Lakini sasa then it was not so developed. Bado tu ilikuwa, kumbuka 2007 ndio tulikuwa na elections. So it was not very developed, ilikuwa tu, but in fact hiyo ndio wakati bedsitters sasa zilikuwa zimetokea. Kwa hivyo kama wewe ulikuwa unaishi bedsitter, you are
uliingia bedsitter.
Ulikuwa sonko.
Mimi
nilikuwa nyumba nyingine ya 400 ya matope huko hata
400 what shillings? Moli wa biliki.
Yes.
Independent woman.
400 shillings.
Na umeenda na your son?
Why not?
So I'm independent now.
I'm independent. I'm very independent. Those houses we used to pay 400. But this house nikiingia sasa nianze kujishikilia, my aunt is the one who paid. Sasa sijua tukae vizuri huko nyumbani, saa yote ni kelele. Sasa hii nyumba ango yangu ameilipa, my aunt ameilipa huko nje. It was 400 tu. Ilikuwa ya matope, ilikuwa semi permanent.
Okay.
But very big then. Na tulikuwa tu wanafunzi wengi tunaishi hapo. But now again, mimi I think depression sasa ilianza kunipiga hiyo wakati, lakini sikuwa najua ni depression. Because now I'm used to people around me. Now I started feeling lonely. So unajua nyumba unaingianga kuna kelele, you are many, kama ugali unapika ya watu 8 ama 10 hivyo. Sasa tulikuwa hivyo because my aunt had 5 children and then there were 3 of us again.
Okay.
So you were 8 in total. Wenye si wake. So I started feeling withdrawn. So katika hii hali kwenye nilikuwa naenda church, the pastor alikuwa, in fact watu walikuwa nashinda kwa kanisa sana. Like you serve from morning to evening. Hata ukikaa tu mahali, sasa unajua sisi tuko diaspora, there was an altar hapo kwa gate. Sasa you could hear the piano playing most of the time. And each time you go, people are in the church. People are always in the church. People are serving, people are singing. Kwanza sana sana kuimba, worshiping was a great deal.
Akina Josephine.
Sasa, and I want to say this, maybe without a lot of fear. When this church started, a lot of lives were messed up, especially Egerton University students. Juu sasa, sisi ndo tulikuwa, yani we were messed up, juu sasa ilikuwa, sisi ndo tulikuwa katikati. We are in the center. Because wakati ilianza, ilishikia kwanza Nakuru sana, and it was Egerton particularly, not just Nakuru town, particularly ilishika Egerton, ndio sasa ikaanza kuspread from Njoro now to Nakuru town and now to other areas. So a lot of people were affected, a lot of people dropped, me being one of them. Sasa shida ikaanzia hapo. Wacha aunti yangu asikie nime
Ume drop out.
It's been a tough journey. It's been tough actually, very. So struggle zangu zikakuwa real. Sasa unajua by the ujinga ni kitu mbaya sana. Foolishness is bad. And I've been to the church, nilienda church nyingine. Now I've started to go to another church. We've been taught clearly the devil reigns in foolishness, which is true. Ujinga ni kitu mbaya sana. Because you know, when the devil knows you are smart and knowledgeable, haizi kukuattack ovyo by the way. Na hata akikuja kukuattack, you know how to fight back because you are knowledgeable. So what you used to do, Lynn, unaenda church, unashinda kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni. Umekaa tu, unaimba, umejifunika, you know, you used to wear long dresses. Umekaa tu, like you are worshiping, unaabudu, umeinama, you are singing.
Unajifunika wapi?
Like to shows, you know, like, you know, the shows that women have. Unapata tu mtu amejifunika kwa kichwa, hata amelala tu chini kwa floor.
Anaomba
Now, that is being humble, which was being misinterpreted. And being humble doesn't mean you are stupid or you are poor. But you see, many people wana combining hizi vitu mbili. So mimi, in fact, there used to be a lot of women. But unaona kama hata wamama wangekuwa wazuri, because tulikuwa tu vijana wadogo, wasichana tudogo. Wangekuwa hata labda wanauliza, why you people, why are you not in school? Kama hata labda ni secondary, because maybe some maybe never finish even their secondary education. Yeah, because of the church. Na wakati hiyo venye nimekwambia, it was fire. Like it was very powerful. Very. In fact, ulikuwa unasikia ujaenda church. You really feel bad. So, these things, unaona hata kudrop shule, hakuna mtu anakuambia, wewe mwenyewe tu unajikuta umedrop. Because most of the time is there is a lot of program in the church, so it consumes most of your time. So utapata asubuhi, maybe you go and worship, there are those lunch hours, mnakaa, utoke jioni kitu 6, ama mnapewa tu assignment. Me, I used to translate. Nilikuwa napenda sana. Inaitwa mkalimani, by the way. Inaitwa kukalimani.
Kutranslate ni kukalimani.
That is, hiyo ni Kiswahili sanifu.
Yes,
hiyo sio sheng.
Yeah.
So, mnakalimani. So I was in that part. I really used to love.
So mtu akiongea English huona kalimani.
And once umeshapata nafasi, you are active mahali, huwezi toka.
Sure.
Afadhali tu mwenye anakuja kuomba hata aende, anaweza pata time aende afanye vitu zake. But now once you've gotten an activity, maybe you are a worshipper, now you are a translator. Me, I loved that. I translated for a while, and now years later, now when I came to Nakuru, there is another place I worship, still under the same church. So I really used to translate a lot. Na tunakaa wazee, we were very young children, but you look very old considering how you are wearing. Yani benye tu huko mtoto wa 18 anakaa almost 40. Yeah, 50. So I translated for a while. So I left in that specific place that I used to translate. I left in 2021. So 2 years later, I went now and joined another place. Zote tu ziko Nakuru, but now they have different names. So there is kuna place, yani kila church iko na pastor wake ama bishop.
Oh, but
so they are different under same ministry, under same ministry, but different clergies, I'll call them. Hivyo.
So tuo uliingia
7
na 2022 bado
2021 later.
Bado una translate tu.
Sasa nikawacha. And now at some point I left because
so ulikuwa unaishi church ama life yako ilikuwa gani?
No, I never used to stay in church. Sijaka church, but at some point I want to say this. People could go and cage in pastors' houses. Wanakaa tu. Like they are there from morning to evening. Though mimi sikuwaika.
Wakifanya?
Si mnasoma Biblia, hata ukienda tu bishe unapata mtu, someone is reading the Bible, mtu tu amekaa peke yake. Yani, you are just lost, lakini hata we mwenyewe hujui. So, remember, now I'm continuing to serve. Mimi nimesema, I want to serve the Lord. But I've really made a lot of wrong decisions. Even some not because of church. Zingine tu ni zako, but it's because you are so confused. You really messed up. So, hata ingine kiharibika, unasema, me, I don't care. Wacha, now they don't care attitude comes in. Yeah. So, me, I survived. At some point, nikawacha. But do you know now, the problem is, Lynn, when you are in the church, you beg even too much. You are poor. You are as poor as a church mouse. Because me, I remember, I depended on my bishop for food every time. Even years later, when I left, bado nilikuwa namtafuta. Namwambia hata nisaidie hata 100 nikule, nisaidie. So, hiyo ndio ikakuwa maisha. Na nikajiuliza, is it really what I want? But before then, I started becoming sick. Now in 2017, I discovered I had cancer stage 2. Then, I had a shop. Sasa nimekuja Nakuru. Sasa unajua life yangu imeanzia Egerton from stage to stage. I've gone to the altar ya Egerton, nimetoka, now I've come to the Nakuru altar, but different sector. So I used to have a business. I used to sell handbags and shoes. I love fashion a lot, by the way. Very, very. I napenda vitu tu kufanya mtu nang'ara unakapoa. I really love that. So I was in business. I had taken a loan, nikafungua business. So 2017, now I'm sick. I started my medication.
What
at
type
Memorial.
of cancer?
Breast. At Memorial now. I go. It was one of the expensive hospitals in Nakuru, but they really take good care of you. They were good. Those people, they were just good in terms of taking care of their patients and all that. They were good, and especially when you have the insurance, the better. Now I started taking my medication for chemotherapy or monotherapies. They are included. At some point, I went and told my bishop, nikamwambia mimi nasikia na niko hivi. Someone tells you, why are you struggling? You are healed. Wewe wachana na dawa. Uko sawa kabisa. So you see, the notion, you are poor, now that you are straining, alafu kutibu cancer sio pesa kidogo, by the way, it's a lot of money. Unasema, why should I be spending this money? Remember, I still have my business. It's still running. Even if it's not doing very well, it could put a meal on the table. At some point, actually, nilikuwa nimeacha kumeza dawa kabisa. And I became bad. Because the people, people could meet me. Wanasema hapana, you are not okay. You are not okay. Ngozi inaonyesha, yani venye tu unakaa inaonyesha you are not okay. So at some point, and it was bad for almost 6 months. You can imagine now, venye sasa nilikuwa nimejiwezi, kumbe you are signing a death sentence, and you don't know, you believe you are it. Now by the way, even my son tells me up to date, sisi kama ni kumesiwa, tungekuwa messed up kabisa. Because me, Lynn, I've gone to churches. I've really gone to churches. All in the name, natafuta usaidizi. But even when you go to these churches, you don't find the kind of help you need. Do you know what some of the men of God will tell you? They will tell you you are bewitched. So when a pastor tells you you are bewitched, mimi nikikuja kwako nikwambia I have a problem, niko hivi, you are supposed maybe to give me a solution. So when you tell me I'm bewitched, what do you expect me to do? Unaambia mtu ulirogwa. As a pastor, you are not supposed to do that. You are supposed to pray for that person, or maybe mwambie we look for a solution. So my son normally tells me, in fact, wewe, and he has a phobia for churches. Maybe if you get time, you'll talk to him. You tell him I'm going to church. He's not there. Because aliona decisions mimi nimemake, venye maisha yetu iko upside down because of the decisions that I used to make, all in the name I'm going to the church. You know, in fact, upande wa giving doesn't have a problem. Ati kutoa sadaka and all that, it doesn't have a problem. But now when you lead people astray, it is not good. Because now, you see now many people believed leaving school is being humble. Leaving work is being humble. What else? A lot of things, a lot of good things that you're supposed to do to bring productiveness into your life, you are not doing them. In fact, to you, hiyo ni makosa.
So ukiuza hizi bags na viatu ulikuwa una feel guilt ama ulikuwa una feel Na ulimanage aje kucombine?
No, ni ile you have responsibilities. Unakaa hivi. So you see, when you are working, hati takikani useme. you just keep quiet. Just keep quiet. Don't even tell anybody you are working. Because to them it's a sin. Kitu kitafanyika. Someone will attack you aseme, hey, hata aliingia kwa dunia. Unaonanga viatu zenye anauza. Unaonanga handbag yenye anauza. In fact, you are not supposed to be smart. Well, let me tell you the truth. And that is the truth. You are not supposed to look good. And biblically, sidhani Mungu wetu ni Mungu mchoyo. You know, our God is silver and gold belongs to him. And work has been recommended in the Bible. We have to work to fend for ourselves. So I think ilitusaidia ni kutoka from family strict za kusoma ukui mjinga sana. Unakaa hivi unafikiria, hey, I need money, I need to work, I need to put food on the table.
And you have
so mimi even with my business, in fact you don't let them know, because it will utafunga hata hiyo siku. You can really shut it down. By the way, you'll shut it down. Why are you doing that? So most of your clients, hata isikwe watu haya wenye mnakaa nao, isikwe washirika. It is okay. Wewe ukiambia mtu, but even at times unaweza kuwa unakuwa investigated pole pole tu bila wewe kujua. But me in my mind, I knew I had to work. Yeah, and juu sasa sikusoma vizuri. I'm very entrepreneurial. So nilipenda tu mambo na biashara tu, nikaanza pole pole, because sasa nani anakuajiri at that time? If you don't have papers, hatutakupea. You don't have any work experience. So me, I embarked on business, and to open this business, I took a loan. Yeah, nilikuwa nalipa pole pole. So you find many people wako wasted. Like personally, me, I've lost so much. Yeah, and most of my life imekuwa destroyed because with my family we don't see eye to eye.
So kutoka hata uingie huko kuenda kutafuta your aunt, your uncle,
we don't, nakwambia the relationship ilisambaratika tu hivyo. And then the people who knew you, even if you want to go to look for help, they will quote you, ule mtoto alikata shule, sasa anasumbua watu. You know what I'm saying? So what comes in? Fear. When you fear, what will you do?
You stay away.
Definitely, you separate.
And your siblings?
And when you separate, like now I said, we were cousins. Sasa kumbuka, kwa hii familia, 5 ni watoto from my aunt. And they were a bit older. Hata saa hii ni watu in their 50s, 40s. So, si tulikuja tukiwa wadogo. So remember mimi, after nime mess up, nimefanya. You remember I got pregnant when still in Form 4. Yeah. Nimefanya mtihani yangu, bado hiyo aibu inaendelea. After my 4th form, nimejoin, kila mtu alichukua barabara yake. Like, sasa mimi, in fact mimi nikajitenga kabisa. Mimi sasa juu as much as aibu ilikuwa inanikula na sasa nyumbani sikuwa accepted, I wanted somewhere I could get accepted. And as I had said earlier, wakati hiyo church ilikuwa imeanza. So many people could find solace in the church, whereby we made a lot of wrong decisions without knowing. Actually, I would say without knowing. I wouldn't say ati ilikuwa kupenda. Juu unajikuta tu, in fact, someone doesn't tell you it is wrong. Because even kuacha shule ni wewe peke yako. Kuacha kazi, unaamka tu siku moja unasema, hata hiyo kazi nisikie inanichokesha, nimefunga. And before I used to run, nikiwa tu hapo Egerton, sasa wakati tumeanzia tu huko, those late years, early 2008 huko 2009, I used to have a grocery ya kukatakata tu mamboga vibanda. Wakati hiyo vibanda were doing very well. Ndio tulikuwa hizi mboga za kukatwa kwa jua latte and bob. I've done that. So mimi najituma, but as much nimejituma sana, things are not working. Sasa saa zingine nikikaa hivi najiuliza nini mbaya na mimi. So some people who are very insensitive watakwambia wewe ulilaniwa ama wewe ulirogwa, venye muna those quotes, those kind, because at times life gets so unfair. Now you try looking for help, or it becomes very harsh. Like on my part, it has been very harsh. you go try and look for help. So from the people who know you, they'll judge you. Watasema alikataa kusoma, anasumbua. In fact, I came to learn when you are a grown up, you are not supposed to ask for help. Because I've tried looking for help. Mtu anakuambia, na penye, sasa, benye uko mkubwa hivi bado unasumbua watu. So mimi I've grown up kujua usaidizi ni ya watoto. Only children are supposed to ask for help. Like my son can come and ask you for something, najua ni mtoto. But now above that, someone tells you, hata wewe mtu mkubwa tu unasumbua hivyo. Now you see, even now asking for help becomes a real challenge. Then now people define you and judge you by your past. Like me now, when I separated now from my aunt and all that saga, leaving school, getting expectant and all that, hiyo vituko yote, the people who knew me, even the mamas, only a few held my hand, they could point and say, ndio ule, alikataa kusoma, aliacha shule, muone. And really niyo kitu ni mbaya sana, because later in year, you meet with your peers. Mimi, at some point, ndio nikuje ni realize destiny yangu sio yako na ya mwingine. My son found me almost hanging kwa nyumba. I was so depressed that in fact I hanged myself. So by the time my son was coming, I was half dead. And he had just forgotten something. So something tells him, come back. Because I was so depressed. Do you know why? I meet with the people we schooled with, primary, secondary, those who went through campus, graduated. They are doing so well. But here you are begging. And you are begging for pesa kidogo sana, as little as 100, uende tu kule. Then people look at you like, what happened to you? Ulikuwa, you are bright. Unajua kwanza, when you are bright, you are supposed to do well in life. Hiyo ilikuwa notion ya kitambo, sijui kama unakumbuka. When you are bright, you are supposed to do well. You are supposed to have a life. Na hiyo kitu mimi imenisumbua sana, because I meet with my peers, they are doing well, they are driving, they have nice houses, they have family. Okay, I have a family, my son is my family. But at which level yenye tuko? Saa zingine unatembea within town, hey Molly, fanya hivi. In fact, I'll say this. Nimekuwa na challenges kwanza in terms of housing. So there is a time I was really bad. So I had gone to ask for help. So I meet one of my classmates, tulisoma naye primary. She has a nice shop, she's doing well. So just like someone anakuangalia na anasema, you are not okay. What is the problem? Now you decide to open up. And this is what I want to tell people as well. In your life, what you can keep private, just let it remain private whatsoever. Because now these are the kind of things people come and attack us later with. Just let like to me, my son, I love my son private a lot. Sipendi mtoto wangu kwa limelight mingi. I know the reason why. Now, you go ask for help. But ile usaidizi mtu nakumbuka hiyo wakati, I did not have a house. I was homeless. Actually, I was homeless. Because now where I was staying before, I had been evacuated. So I meet with her, I tell her, niko hivi. Then she tells me, we'll help you. But sasa, you want to help me and you want everybody to know you helped me. So around that area, she was asking people, who knows a cheaper house? Who knows a cheaper house somewhere? Who knows a cheaper house somewhere? You know, unaona vitu kama hizo inaku-affect. Why is she doing well and why am I not doing well? Why is she helping me? Na sisi wote tulikuwa na the same opportunity. Hata kama ikukuwa same, tulikuwa na opportunity ya ku make our lives better. Unaona sasa hiyo ndio kitu. Sasa ndio nakwambia wakati unaenda kuitisha usaidizi, you fear. The fear of being judged, the fear of being exposed. Nasema ndio yule alikata sasa ona venye anaka. I've met with people telling me ungekubali tu kusoma sasa ungekuwa mbali, which is true by the way. As much as it hurts, ni ukweli. Because you know, knowledge is power everywhere. And because me, I made so many mistakes, especially with my life, nikaamua, sasa nitanyorosha kwa mtoto wangu. Because now I did not want to make the same mistakes. Me, I've made a lot of mistakes by the way. I think so many people, knowingly or unknowingly, it has happened by the way. At some point mtu unakutana na mtu anakuambia wewe nijaribu kukusaidia. What happened? Unaona? So you feel mtu anakuambia wenzako akisoma, when your peers were getting knowledge, you are busy maybe making love or something. You know, now that's how you are being judged, which is harsh. So mimi on my part, asking for help imekuwa something very hard because now I live in fear. Naogopa, I fear, what will they say about me? You see? And then, to make the matters worse, they are saying you are someone who had a potential. So what happened along the way? But now you see, I couldn't kill this child then. Because kwangu mimi sahi, I see him as a blessing. But even raising him has not been easy. Hata yeye kuna wakati amenicondemn. He has really condemned me because of the wrong decisions I've been making. Especially now when I was in this church. And he used to tell me, and I really thank God. By the one, Lynn, one thing, even to my viewers, one thing I want to thank God for. My son never stepped that church doing a mess. Yeah, see, there are a lot of young children, a lot of young boys who are, like nimekwambia, some could even drop at secondary level. And because the society is too, I would say, too comfortable with that decision, because unajua, back then, you couldn't make a mistake ovyo. Remember, the whole community could come and reprimand you.
Na wanakujua.
And they know you. But right now, you cannot try and touch someone's child or something, or even if you see a problem, you cannot do that. Remember our days, you are being beaten by that person, you are being taken back home, you are being beaten. Yeah, so we lived with a lot of discipline. Wacha niseme, hata kama sio discipline, fear. Ilikuwa ni kuogopa, because there is difference between fear, discipline and respect. So, unaona, sasa katika hizi changamoto zote, hizi vitu zote mimi nimepitia, ni sababu ya kumake wrong decisions. Kwa saa zingine hata mtu anaweza offer help on the table. Unamwambia mimi naenda church. Juna hata mtu akikuitia kazi hauna haja nayo. Why should I work?
Ati unasho mtu unaenda church.
Someone can come with a job opportunity. Then you tell that person, mimi naenda church. Unajua sijui leo tulikuwa na program gani? Tujui tulikuwa na program gani? So many people got lost and are still lost in the church. So me, what I would like to tell people and to LNN viewers, please let us be wise when going to the church. Whichever way you choose it, let us be wise. Because a lot of lives have been messed up, all in the name of church. And we are not talking about this particular cult. There are so many. There are others, because as we are talking from point of experience, there are others from other cults who are not even able to come and share, or cannot even express how they are feeling, because at some point depression ukuja. Do you know where depression comes from? Now you've messed up your life. You are alone. Do you know what happens? When you are alone, you cannot still go to the church to ask for help. Everybody is busy minding their own businesses. Remember now, personally, my relationship with my family is very bad. Up to this point, as I'm still talking, by the way, we don't even, in fact, I remember last year, I was so unwell. I had contracted tuberculosis of the stomach. The stomach was full of water and I didn't know. So I had no money and we were down. And it is in December. Actually, it was 2 days to Christmas now. And I told my son, because now he calls my aunt Shosho, because we ndio najua. So my aunt, we used to call her Made. So nikamwambia, ebu nipe hiyo simu, kindly assist me with the phone. I tried to look for Made, nione kama anaweza nisaidia. Hey, she blocked me. When she just picked the phone, akasikia ni sauti yangu, she blocked me. Now, this is a person who is also still in pain. Na pia maybe hajui kudeal nayo. Mimi, I'm recovering right now. I'm still now recovering. Nilikaa kwa nyumba. Now, I left early last year. So when I left, I sat down, nikaanza kujioji. People sacrifice for you. People try to spend on you to have a good future. Because by the way, with my Aunt Lynn, ilikuwa ni usome uende. Ya kukua na kitu ingine. You will work. The housework is there. You will do everything. But to her, knowledge really mattered. But then, mimi hatukuwa tunaelewa. In fact, sasa wenye tuligrow hapa tulikuwa tunaona anatusumbua. Actually, that's what you were seeing. But to her, ilikuwa musome muende, mukue na maisha mazuri. Later. Because she doesn't expect anything from you. Now you see, because now she's my aunt, now unaona relationship yake pia na watoto haiko sawa. So you find even with my cousins, we don't talk. The society at large, wenye walikuwa nakujua hivi, we don't talk. Because unakaa hivi, alipea auntie yake stress karibu akufe. You see? Because now, during these challenges, my aunt used to be very sick. And I meet with people at the road. They tell me, unajua venye auntie yako alikuwa anakupenda. Unajua venye auntie yako alikuwa anakupenda. Now hizo vitu zilianza kuni affect all of them last year. I'm alone. I have nowhere to turn to. I depend on people all the time. And there's this time I had no otherwise. Do you know what I used to do, Lynn? I could go sit in a church. I will not mention the church. And maybe if they are watching, they...
Yeah, the same branch.
Not the same branch. Sasa nimeanza kurecover. I'm seeing, vitu haiko sawa. Kumbuka maisha imeanza kuniendea mrama 2020. Things are bad. Nimeclose mpaka business yangu sasa. Things are very bad. Because I could come to Gikomba, pick my things, I go. I could go. I'm so depressed. We are not eating. Hatuna chochote. We have nothing. Then mimi, one thing with my landlords or house owners, issues to do with rent, zilikuwa zinanisumbua, ambapo bado inanisumbua. Then my landlady or landlord could ask, now, surely, a smart girl like you, why are you lacking money? Sasa, you know, when you are being asked such a question, hata wewe unakuja unaanza kujioji, unasema, something is not right. Juu utatoka tu uko sawa, you are neat, you go. So depression ilikuwa inanigonga. I could go sit in a church. I take a pen and a note. I just write, hi kindly, I feel so depressed. Can I talk to you? Nikikuona, I give you that note. So you see now, me, I'm seeking for sympathy. Unaona sasa tukianza kuongea, you will be touched. Maybe now you can give me 1,000 or 500, or you'll tell me, let us go buy you food you eat. In fact, now, most of my rent nililipa hivyo, like the whole of last year, actually. Because now, I'm not seeing anyway. I've messed up. I cannot go back home. As much as I want that connection.
With your family, you can't.
Siwezi, I messed up. Then, I'm a bad example.
Na church, ile church hauna ma friends.
They're there.
No, ma friends. Ama muwezi ongea.
No, you cannot talk. And then now you see, even now, because you remember, many branches were being opened later. So you find a lot of us disconnected. Unapata ule alienda ile branch, ule alienda ile branch, ule alienda ile branch. So unapata mara mingi, amuonani, you go and again meet new people. But you go and tell someone, I'm hungry, I don't have food. Go and pray. How am I supposed to pray on an empty stomach?
Or form ni uombe.
And it is really bad, by the way. So I would urge people to be very wise. Do not confuse serving God and laziness. Those are two different things. Those are two different things. Do you know you will serve God and you are still working very well, and they go hand in hand? Some people feel it is not okay. You do something, I come to you, I am sick. Okay, a good example, I've come in the morning for the interview. I've told you I have tonsils, I'm not feeling well. What have you done as a person? You look for the remedy, you've given me the medicine. But now, in the so-called church, you'll be told to go and pray. And that's how I normally lost my life now when I had cancer. Because most of the time, I was on my knees praying. But as much as you are praying, go to the hospital. Let them go hand in hand. God is a healer, by the way, He's our healer. At some point, unapata umepona, like mine, it may subside because I started treatment earlier. And let me take you back. I thank my aunt for the upbringing, the tough upbringing, tulisoma kidogo. Ujinga haikukuwa mingi. Sasa hiyo ilinisaidia pia kueradicate vitu zingine. Yeah. So, If I come to you, I tell you I have a problem, you are telling me to go and pray. I will pray, yes. But what is the immediate solution that I need at once as per that situation?
So, historia madawa, usikunywe madawa, you are healed. Is it something a lot of people are told?
Yeah.
Kwani mfai kunywa madawa, mfai kwenda hospitali?
You go, in fact, and I'm telling you, at times even nobody tells you. You know you are very sick, you have a condition. You know there are those conditions that requires you take medicine daily without fail. And maybe I'll say like for the cancer patients, hata cancer ni afadhali. Saa zingine you can unaweza kuwa na pause. Ebu imagine maybe the HIV patients. There are those conditions too, maybe things to do with the maybe autism, because maybe they have drugs, they have to take diabetes. We mwenyewe tu saa zingine tunaacha. You say I'm in the right place. Na hapa nitapona. And many people have lost their lives in the process.
Kwani kukunywa dawa huko ni illegal?
No, I don't know.
Ama nani ama ebu walk me through, because I saw a lot of comments of people saying how their relatives were told not to take medicine. Is it something that is told to you straight? Ama it's something that inatembea huko ndani? Ama how does it manifest itself?
What happens, so you see at times when you finish the service, the final prayers, you see something, the way they say, tutaombea wagonjwa, we'll pray for the sick, we'll pray for the needy. So in the process when a pastor is praying, or whoever will be praying, so you something pia sio lazima ikuwe pastor all the time. The final itakuwa, don't, for those who are sick, you are healed in Jesus' name. Whatever was disturbing you, don't use it. Whatever you are using, don't use it anymore. What are you using? So you are using medication. Because maybe assume, maybe I'm positive. I'm supposed to be taking my drugs daily. When you tell me I'm healed, and I no longer need to use them, what will I do?
You stop. You
stop. When you stop, what happens? You die. Actually, you'll die. Now that is what follows next. Because now if you have a permanent, I don't know the best word to use. If you have a condition that requires you to take drugs daily, and I'll use the word defaulting. Kindly do not default. You pray, but take the right measures. That's why you have hospitals. That's why you have school. You know in life, kila kitu iko na function yake. And I remember when joining this church in 2007, nakwambia ilikuwa imeshika moto, we were told the world is ending. Do you know what happened? People sold their properties. And Mimi, I'm a witness.
World ilikuwa isha 2007?
Yeah, the world was supposed to end in 2007. I don't know who will remember. That was the message. The world was supposed to end in 2007. And let me tell you, Lynn.
Nani alisema hivyo?
You told me not to mention.
Wacha bana.
You told me not to mention names.
So ule mtu wetu alisema.
No, so even with the pastors, I think what was...
To mention names ndio waseme ni wao na wajatajwa.
What happened, people lived in a lot of fear. Imesemekana. People became poor. And if I can tell you, kama kuna year people got affected was in 2007. Leave alone yenye me follow later. And people became poor. And people died.
Mbona wako?
Because of stress. Depression will kill you. You know, an adult like you, okay, let me use an example. Someone like your mother, anakuja tu kama leo anaambia hii nyumba yote I'm selling it. I don't know where the men used to go anyway.
Mimi niko tu na swali moli. So after dunia isiishe 2007, kwa nini mkuuliza maswali?
Hata do you know kwa nini watu wengi waliacha shule then? Dunia inaisha. Watu wengi waliacha kazi, kwa nini dunia inaisha? The message was, sijui ilikuwa misinterpreted ama nini. So the world is coming to an end. Why are we in school?
So nyi mlielewa?
No, me I dropped 2 years later. Mi uzuri, Mungu alinisaidia, nilikuwa najielewa kidogo.
So mbona, mi niko tu na swali. Mbona mtu akisemanga dunia inaisha 2007, Why can't you people go back and say it's 208, dunia ikuisha? What happened?
No, we were being told the world is ending in 2007. And remember, that's when now we had the post-election violence.
Yes.
You remember a lot of blood was shed.
So it inakaa ni kama ni ukweli kauka.
And then my people perish because of lack of knowledge. Let us be wise. Wacha tukue wise. Na tuache ujinga. Shetani anapenda ujinga. By the way, anapenda kurevolve hapo. Mimi kitambo nilikuwa sasa ndio nimeanza kujirecover, ndio nakwambia I used to work na ambao wewe umelaniwa, wewe umerogwa. It used to stick in my head. Because by the I've really struggled. Wacha nikwambie. Na nilikuwa tunaona njia zangu haziendi through because I'm very hardworking. But nilikuwa tunaona things are not going through. So it's a struggle day in, day out. Day in, day out. People are telling you, go ask for forgiveness. Ata, if forgiveness is not the issue, do they even want to see you? Do they even want to see you? Me, I've really messed up my life in so many ways that I never also knew I could turn up this way. So it at least a point, I see people I know, nakimbia. Hata nikiona tulisoma na wewe, nione tu uko sawa, you are okay. If I see you, I take another turn. Because me, I don't want us to meet, you start questioning me. What are you doing nowadays? Nini? Already me naona you are doing well. There are those struggles that we have day in, day out. But generally, you will see someone who is not, you will know someone who is doing well and someone who is not doing well, just in general. So mimi, such things, zilishi kunitia uoga. Eventually, I had depression. Nikachukua kamba, I was now hanging myself. My son was the one who saved me that time. And I'm talking about last year but one. Because now I left the church last year.
So you left now last year?
Yeah, I left early last year. Sasa nimekaa tu kwa nyumba, nikujihurumia, you don't know what to do, hauna pesa, huwezi anzisha kitu, ukijaribu kutafuta usaidizi, people are judging you, they insult you. Yani, it was bad. Yeah, it has been bad. So even for my boy to be in school, I sold most of my things. Because now remember, there is medication for cancer and there is me. Na sina mtu mwingine. Now it's only me, it's only him and I don't know how to ask for help anymore. Because whenever I've tried...
The shame.
The shame. Kwanda hiyo, yeah, the shame. So me, maisha yangu, I've stayed in fear. And that shame.
I want to get to your boy and his school, but turudi kwa exit ukitoka church. By the time you are leaving, now after umetoka ukiangalia, what was wrong with the church? Ama tunaekelea tu church?
No. Church is not bad. I'm not here to say church is bad. Church is good. But when you are in a church, look at the biblical interpretations. Are you being taught what is in the Bible? Because now, when you tell me the world is ending, what do you expect me to do? You are inflicting fear in me. So nasema, hata if I die, hii mali yote nitaachia nani? You see, what made me actually leave church, you know, I was in another altar. I left 2 years ago. Then the one that I joined, I left last year. So the previous one that I left because of the I will say misconduct that I saw there. A few people here and there mishandled me. And then I said, if you are in a church and you are behaving this way, why am I in the church still?
How are you mishandled?
I just had an issue. So I went to spoke to the bishop there. And she handed me to some ladies in the church. So I happened to stay with one of them because I still had issue with housing. I think my house had been locked. I had nowhere to go. But luckily for my son, most of the time we used to be in school. But now during the holidays, but I remember it was on an holiday. I was with him. It was during the holidays. Now, I went and stayed with a congregant and it did not turn out well. There are some things I really want to share on the camera, but
okay.
it didn't turn out well. Then I asked myself, are we really serving the real God? Because, you know, Lynn, when you tell me you're a Christian, okay, the word of the Lord says we should imitate Jesus Christ. Kuimitate ni kufanya aje? Si kuimitate mtu ni unataka kukua kama yeye. But we are not doing that. Instead, we are doing the opposite. Like you can just go stay with someone. Benye unasema tu siku hizi sijui akuli mboga, anataka nyama, samaki. You know such quotes need. Those things, they happen by they happen by the way. You go stay with someone, maybe amwelewani. And that's why Mimi, I've grown in the hands of people to survive most of the time. And I fear people a lot because my son and I have been through a lot. All in the name of helping. Sasa yete hiyo jina kusaidiwa sisi hatujisikii sababu a lot of negative things have come out all in the name of being helped.
I can imagine.
Yeah, sasa mimi, to me that word sijisikii kabisa. Yeah, so in my life, me, I'm just here to tell people, churches are real. God is real, Satan is real. Tuchague ni upande gani tutakuwa. And if you see, instead of moving forward, you are always going backward, and you are giving, you are all giving. I'm not talking about giving in terms of sadaka or anything. You know, in the house of the Lord, there are so many departments you can give to. And imagine me, Lynn, what I know. If you serve a true God, Mungu hawezi kukuacha. God can never leave you. Even if it's in terms of washing the church, or maybe it's Sunday school, in terms of serving, and you serve faithfully and honestly, God cannot leave you. But if you are somewhere and your life is being messed up, and then what I also did not like, the identity part. As normally, when you, like most of us, we use our father's name or our grandfather's name, the original maybe surname. But you find yourself somewhere, someone is saying, wale watu wa. You've been already quoted. And there's an interview we did here with Josephine a while back. She was saying where she used to work, someone could come and say, nataka ule msichana wa, I don't want to mention the name, nataka ule msichana wa, anishughulikie. You see, now that name, that is not your identity. Your identity is your name and where you come from originally. Yeah.
Is it true, let me ask, just to maybe add to what Josephine said, is it true that in this particular setting, you guys fear this man of God, maybe more than God himself?
Now, like I said earlier, we have different altars. Your interview you did earlier on cults, I don't know which altar she served, but the fear is there. The fear is there, that is real. Just know what wanaka wakiogofia. Even at times you want to walk out, then you are like, what will happen to me? What will happen to me? What will happen to me? The fear is there, very much there, because I want to say most of the activities that we've attended or used to take place, because activities, the prayers activities, especially maybe now when you're going for, unaona kama hizi za kuvuka mwaka, hizo zinakuanga, si unajua zinakuanga very active. But now you see a lot of crazy activities going on. Like me, I've been in Nakuru for so long. That's my home area. Find people, wacha tu niseme tu, kufagia hiyo, kuosha barabara. Why are you doing that? As much as you are a Christian, why are you doing that? Do you really feel it is okay, or it's an order from above that you should do that?
Or out of fear.
Out of fear. So kuna vitu mingi wenye watu wamefanya, na huenda sio mimi peke yangu, maybe I'm not the only one, but I can assure you so many lives have been destroyed and were destroyed. Some of us are late, they can never have the experience to share their stories, but all I can say, we've made a lot of wrong decisions, all in the name of church.
How is your health now?
My health is not very bad, but at times, what normally disturbs me most of the time are the migraines. At times, I have very severe headaches. So most of the time, I go for checkups, but the drugs, at times that they recommend, are very expensive. At times, I cannot afford. And I stay like that. And God's grace has been sufficient. The true God now. Unaona hata kama hujapata church ya kwenda, weka tu kwa nyumba yako ujiombe. God is ni ule tu, but anaongea na kila mtu. Your God will speak to you, Lynn. Just like God will speak to you. God doesn't need a pastor to talk to you, or a higher person maybe in power to tell you, God told me this about you. We mwenyewe, God will talk to you. Na kuambie hivi na hivi. At times, you know, me at times I could sit like this. Mungu tu nasikia ananiongelesha hata through visions. Nimekaa tu but I'm imagining. Kama jana nilikuwa tu nimekaa, najiona kama napanda ndege. You know, now I've started imagining. Now I've started imagining. Na wacha nikwambie kile imenisaidia apart from my sanity, my son. My son is very, sijui ni jina gani nitatumia, but with him, you see this radical decision that people make, umesikia tu kitu umesikia na he doesn't have that. And he used to tell me, aki si utoke church, nini unafanya? Uoni vile tuko maskini? Which God are you serving? Sijui nini. You see?
Anakwambia tu venye iko.
Yeah, and he has never, by then my son is church phobia. Very. You cannot tell my son we go to church, he goes. I remember this particular church I've been invited to. I went, and he texted me, where you are, your church inaitwa aje? He wants to know. Like, he wants to know.
Yeah.
Then, he is so cautious when it comes to religion matters. He is, actually like he is. You cannot just tell him, wake up, we are going to church. Another, which church are we going? Tunaenda kufanya nini? And he used to tell me, Mom, you are poor. You are poor out of choice.
Wow.
You see?
The hard truth.
Yeah, because now, there's a word you normally use. Because now, see, I'm advanced. Now, right now, he's a big boy. Right now, he understands a lot of things. And we share a lot. He tells me, your choices. Ndio imefanya uko hivi venye uko. You are poor because of the wrong decisions and choices you've made in life. Maybe right now you will be somewhere called big names. Which is okay by the way. Mimi, I don't regret. Maybe things happen. I wouldn't say I don't regret. I regret a lot actually. There are a lot of things I've done that I really regret. I really do regret. But now I told God, me I've lost so much. Why can't you restore everything through my son? Ama pia mi unirejeshe tu ile nyenye nimepoteza. Juu saa zingine sio kupenda. I even remember one day when I was right at Egerton, when this church had already started, I remember I went with the pastor to my aunt's house. Now, he was going now to be the meditator. Let me tell you, Lina, auntie yangu alitufukuza vibaya.
Ai kidogo. Ema na shosho story.
She chased us away in a very, hata kama kungekuwa maybe a machete there, she would have taken that. Because already alikuwa ameshaona ni upuzi gani inaendelea. But mimi sikukuwa ninaona.
Unapeleka.
By the I really owe that lady an apology, for real.
Do you think she'll watch this?
I don't think. Right now, okay, issues na family, I try to follow closely. Najua hatukosangi tu maneno mna anafanya hivi kunaendelea hivi. Right now, she's just here in Nairobi. She's sickly. So vitu kama hizi itakuwa hard.
Na ikaweza mfikia.
I just want her to tell her that I'm sorry. That one I want her to know sincerely for letting her down and for letting myself down as well. Because my aunt used to tell me, you have a bright future. Soma. Na hata nakumbuka kiprofesa, she could tell me, wewe siku moja utapanda ndege mtoto wa dadangu. I'm the sisters, my late mother now, or the sister to her. She could prophesy a lot of things, good things. I remember when Obama had come to power, and he used to call my son Obama. So she could tell us, hata Obama. Ulituletea Obama ataenda tu mbali. You see? So she is a person who had a lot of hopes in me. But I ended up making a lot of wrong decisions zenye zilimdisappoint. Ikawa hataki kuniona. I remember because of my issues, people used to tell me, hata sio kunitel, ni ile kunidhiaki. Tukikutana hapo, iga hapo tu, auntie yako ni mgonjwa juu yako. Your aunt is sick because of you. Your aunt is sick because of you. Hivyo. So at some point nilikuwa nasema, should this lady die? What am I supposed to do? Nitaishi kujikondea mama kujiblame. All I want to tell her, wherever she is, I just want her to know I'm sorry together with my uncle. Because now you see, my uncle agreed to host us. Si mwanamume ndio wa kusema kwa nyumba. He agreed to host us na tukae pale. Ndio hatukukuwa na chetu. And for all the mistakes that I've done, not only to my aunt, even to the entire society. Even me, now in my journey of growing, I've really come to embrace education more.
Unaweza taka kurudi shule?
Why not?
Unaenda
lakini sasa mtoto wangu ananiambia sasa unabeba bag na mimi pia ninabeba. Ananiambia sasa wewe pia.
No, acha jokes like.
Ananiambia sasa wewe beba bag na pia mimi nibebe bag. I would like to go back to school. But now, what I would love most, Lynn, is to be independent. I've never felt your virtue ya kukuwa independent. I've grown so much depending on people due to poverty. Because when hauna, you'll beg. Like now I don't have, I'll tell you, Lynn, Akisu nisaidie 200, I go. Because I'm not working and I don't have anything. But if I'm doing something for myself, I'm good to go. Because I want to be, for real, I want to be independent. Like I'm done depending on people.
How does independent look like for you?
Independent to me looks like you are able to think on your own. Because now you see, when I depend on you so much, you utaanza kudictate
how,
what I should do, what I shouldn't do. Independent to me means having sanity of mind and doing the right thing.
So I want to ask a question because I know there are people who are watching and they might want to hold your hand because I want to have a quick 5 minutes with your son. But I know there are people who might want to hold your hand. Now umesema Lynn means taki help. So how can they not help but
as your help
see a do, but how can they contribute to your elevation?
So, I never say that I don't need help.
Yes.
Nimesema, people have mishandled us all in the name of help.
Yes.
Nikaiweka in
quote.
Kuna help utapea mtu when you are genuine. Mimi sasa mtu akitaka kunisaidia, anipee job, ama aniulize ni biashara gani nataka kufanya.
Haya, ni biashara gani nataka kufanya?
Fashion.
Narudi tu huko.
I'll sell my handbags, I'll sell my like this was one of my products. Sikuziuzanga mpaka nikava.
Easy boots?
Yeah.
Oh.
These are the kind of things I used to sell. Itakikani tukue smart. But I thank God. I remember your interview that you did with I was watching that clip, the
Yeah.
interview that you did with Josephine.
Yes.
That interview really caught my attention, by the way. Sababu, do you know how many people are depressed juu ya kutoka church for the right reasons? Yeah, ametoka na reasons zake right, but the world is still condemning. Wanakuona kama wewe ndiye mbaya. Me, I normally say, before you judge, kuja uniulize shida ilikuwa nini. Hata ukikutana tu na mimi, just ask me, hey, Molly, I heard you left. What happened? Let me give you my part of the
story.
Uamue. But sasa, I want to say this, and I will say that without fear. Pale kwa kanisa tumekaa na tumetegemea sana. We put so much our minds on the men of God. Be it a pastor, be it a bishop, be it a prophet. Yani wewe matumaini yako iko yote ya hapo. Na hiyo ndio imefanya tukakuwa astray. Because utapata mtu anasema, pastor alisema, bishop alisema. Must they say for it to be done? And then another thing, when the so clergy says, it is always right. No, it is not always right.
Learn to question.
It is not always right. Wewe utafanya because order imetoka from above. Above, wewe umesikia ni bishop, umesikia ni pastor, umesikia ni maybe bibi ya pastor. I'm just saying it happens. Juu saa zingine order inaweza toka, mwambiwe kuna program imetokea ilisemekana hivi.
And then report
but why are we doing that? Is it right to do it? So our sanity in the church is no longer there because it has been stolen by the so-called clergy. Because if your pastor loves you, atakuongoza vizuri. Jesus never led people astray. Another thing, when you live, you are in a cult. No, when you live, uko kwa dunia. So, si tuko kwa dunia.
Ay, Molly.
They say you are worldly.
Yes.
Now let me tell you something, Lynn, and this one I'm telling it to all the viewers and everybody. You cannot go to heaven kama hapa duniani umeteseka. There is no heaven for you. If you are miserable on this earth, there is no heaven. You have to enjoy here to see heaven. I'm telling you the truth. That is a fact. Hakuna. Make the world your home as much you are still there for you to reach eternity. Utalia hapa. Alafu uende binguni. Binguni hakuna kulia. See, people say you go there to eat bread and honey and all that.
And yeah.
Now if you cry here, unateseke hapa. Yani you don't want to create your own heaven here. And by that I mean I'm not telling anybody to sin.
Yeah.
Just live your
Be
life.
happy.
Be happy. Exactly.
The right way.
That is the word. Be happy.
The right way.
Be happy. Sasa wewe, if you are not happy here, don't expect to be happy in heaven.
Uogopi kurushiwa mawe ka Josephine?
No, me, I don't fear and I don't feel bad because it is true. A lot happened. We messed up, many of us. And as I say, for those who are still there, sio kupenda kwao. Many are, maybe the parents are deeply rooted there. You have to follow rules. Ebu imagine you cannot fend for yourself. Your parents are deeply rooted there. You love to stick there. Utafanya nini kama sasa?
Not much. Na huwezi fanya.
Especially when you are young. Unajua sasa unakuwa guided. Sasa benye mimi nimekwambia, mimi benye nililelewa. Si nilikwambia, by the way I come from a home of scholars. Nyumba aunti yangu ilikuwa nyumba ya watu wasomi sana. So you see venye nimelelewa hiyo notion. Sasa kuna mwenye amelelewa tofauti. Nasema usipoenda church hautafanya hivi. So grow up with a lot of pain yenye bado iko. Juu sasa mimi mara mingi najiona niko peke yangu. I'm just alone. Hata saa zingine nilikuwa na shida. The first question mtu anakulizanga, when you have a problem, what is the first question that people ask you? What about your family or your people, isn't it? What do you say?
Zero.
Mimi kama mimi siwezi sema sababu niko peke yangu. Yani it is so dysfunctional. I cannot even ask help from someone. Niko tu na kazi yangu moja, I talk to him once in a while. But it is also not easy because that the people you talk to report it tena inarudi inafika, because as zingine ni kitu confidential. I can call nimwambia Kisu nisaidie 200 nikule. Molly alikuwa ananiomba pesa, unajua
na chakula. Ai Molly nayo kuomba utaki anymore.
Auntie yangu anasema, silikuwa asome. Nani akusoma? Sasa mimi
wewe utaki tena hata kuitisha bob.
Hata nikitoka hapa kuomba sitaki. Mtu tu anataka kunisaidia, anisaidie. Na mtu anataka kunisaidia, anipe job. By the way, I'm very good. Nile tu sikumaliza kusoma. I'm very good. And especially with business. Ama kama kuna mtu anaweza ni boost, nifungue biashara yangu, well and good.
Mimi nakutakia kwa biashara.
Amen.
Wase wanakuboostia.
Mimi
nitakuwa wa kwanza kuchangia, si kukusaidia, kuweka kwa hiyo kika.
Usiseme Molly ati nyumba cheap huku ni wapi? You ask the entire community. Please don't do that. Na tena nilikuwa nimekuja kusema pia hivi. Tukua pale kanisani, tukue na hekima. Let us be wise. Church is not bad. Mimi sitaki nitoke hapa watu waanze kusema watu walisema church si mbaya, because me have grown up in Catholic from a child. Hizo hata kudance hizo tumefanya. And it used to be fun. Very fun.
Si stressful. Tuambie hiyo tunaweka wapi hiyo support.
Your support. Should I give out my number?
Do you want to? Feel free.
My number is 07 99 55 84 11.
07
99 55 84 11.
Majina?
Molly Omiro.
Ya M-Pesa?
Yeah.
Okay. Hiyo ni si ya help support.
Mimi yangu ya biashara.
Yes.
I thank God for the lessons and the experiences.
What are some of the lessons you've picked?
I'm much wiser now. Sasa siko kwa hiyo roadblock ya kufanya ujinga. Hiyo yenye auntie yangu alikuwa ananiambia acha hiyo ujinga uko nayo. Then I'm not, by the Lynn, right now I'm not near there anymore. I'm trying to be very wise, not only with finances, with my life, my decisions, and my son, mind. My mind. Kwanza, sanity. Kuna wakati nilikuwa nimeipoteza kabisa. Mambo na church is a spiritual, personal journey. Please usishikane na watu ovyo all the time that we are going to do this, we want to do this. In fact, spiritual matters is a personal walk. Don't involve people. Because when God wants to speak to you, atakuongelesha ukiwa peke yako. Remember when he was communicating to akina Moses, Joseph, Ivo, he will come to you alone. Mungu, by the way, God doesn't work with a crowd. He doesn't. Anakujanga tu yeye mwenyewe ukiwa tu hivyo. And then mimi hakuna wakati nimekosa kucommit suicide. I've tried so many times. Hata sasa ndio nifika hapa. It was just like a few weeks ago. I tried again. There are those medications na kuanga nazo saa zingine. I just decided I go take them and call it quits. Lakini tu sasa unaenda kumeza hivi, mtoto ndio yeye anapiga kamvua kanaanza kunyesha, mali ulikuwa umejificha lazima utoke ukikimbia. You have to go. You have to go back again. So God has a purpose for everything. Yeah, and
he has a purpose for you as well, and for your son and your life.
Amen.
Sai relationship yako na God iko aje?
Ndio nimeanza hiyo jani sasa. A friend invited me. Sitaki kumtaja. A friend invited me. Na wakati nilienda pale, nikaona it's like I've met a family. It was so nice. So I'm starting that journey
again.
Lakini nilikuwa nimechukia Mungu hata mimi, sababu nilikuwa namuuliza surely mimi na kuserve na niko hivi venye niko. You are so poor, hata bishop wangu nilikuwa namuomba pesa, hata yeye I think aliniblock juu kuna wakati nilikuwa nampigia ingi. Sitamsema ni mgani. But najua ananipenda sana mali yako. Ni kama aliniblock because you are busy borrowing 100 daily. Sasa mtu kwa akili yake atasema kwani huyu hawezangi kwenda kufanya kazi? You know, I used to work. By the way, I've worked in schools in Nakuru. But now it reached a point I couldn't. At times you are battling with health so much or personal issues. So ikafika mahali, but mimi sasa sana kilemenilemea imekuanga ni health yangu. Sasa hapo ndio mambo imeanza kukua mbaya kabisa. Sasa nikawacha. So nikawa tu nisaidie 50, nisaidie 20. Sasa hata mtoto wangu alikuwa ananiuliza, sasa mimi nataka nizae mtoto alafu tena mimi nianze kuomba 20. And I remember kuna mtu I don't know if it's a pastor or something. Someone you hosted about generational curses. Why it's a lie. Why pastors lie. That is a personal thing to deal with, by the way. And it is true. Sasa ati juu mimi am poor, then na imagine mtoto wangu atakuwa poor, never.
Haiwezi happen. Na pia
I break it, and that's how we are being manipulated. Sasa hapo ndio vitu kama sacrifice zinatoka, sijui to break to break altars. That altar, break it yourself by praying. God doesn't require anything from you. Na unajua Mungu anatumianga kitu inakaa ujinga sana kufanya tu matendo yake. Mimi sahi, in fact, in terms of reading the Bible, I'm very keen. Sahi venye niko. Sio kama kitambo. So spiritual journey or religion journey, usichukulie hivi hivi. Those are things that can really mess you up. Have you heard of those people who had sahi hawana kitu? Someone used to tell, I used to be. I used to be rich. I used to have. Where did they go? What is the work of the Satan? So Satan comes in the name of the Lord just to kill, steal and destroy. Na hapo sasa ndio wengi tumekuwa hapo. And when we are destroyed, you die lean. Because there is pain you cannot take. Kuna vitu na kwangu umefanya uwezi nini, you cannot take it back even as much as you want to, not unless ukue tu na hiyo nguvu. Then shetani anapenda pia mali ya aibu iko. Sasa mimi nilikuwa nimejiconfine hapo. Wewe unaona ukifanya kitu nitaibika, ukifanya nini nitaibika. Hata in fact even coming here has taken me a lot of strength by the to come here and even to share my story. Of course,
una feel aje?
I'm okay. There are those haters, of course. Unajua tu comments zikosangi mimi mali nimefika. That's why I'm telling you, I'm trying to be very wise, not only with finances, with myself, with my son, anything concerning me or surrounding me. I'm really trying to be wise. Let us be wise. If you want to break a generational curse, uone labda hii shida iko kwa familia yetu, pray to God on your knees. Na atajibu hiyo maombi. You don't need to take a bahasha full of money. Sasa hiyo umepeleka, wewe unaenda kukufa njaa. I remember my son telling me, kazi yako ni kwenda kanisa na hapo unakuja kunifanya nikufe njaa. Yeah, because utapata nilikuwa hata na mimi anasema acha hii itakuwa sadaka. Na hatujakuwa na breakfast na jioni sijui itakuwa aje na tena lunch sijui itakuwa aje. Na sasa hiyo nimemwacha kwa nyumba peke yake. So when I come in the evening, I'm so stranded. I don't even have I don't have anything. Because we've given. Giving is not bad. It is biblical. Give your 10%. Unajua kila kitu inatoka kwa Biblia, hiyo iko sawa. Mimi sina shida na hiyo. Kwa nini Mungu anasema peana 10%? Amesema peane 90? Kwa nini hajasema peane 90?
Wewe hata unapeleka 100.
Si anajua utakosa. Yeah, our God is a wise God also. Anasema kwa ile yenye umepata nipe tu 10. Wewe baki na
90.
Hiyo 90 sini yako to take care of yourself so that you don't become poor. By the way, you cannot serve God and become poor. Our God is rich. Sasa wewe ukionanga tu uko mahali na uko tu uwezi oga, uwezi paka mafuta, uwezi kule ushibe, uwezi ngara, you have a problem.
Kwisha.
Yeah, you have a problem. Actually, you have a problem. I'm telling you the truth.
Wow.
And these things are real. Very real. Sasa mimi siko hapo tena. I'm done. Even when we were in the church, ilikuwa why are we struggling and Jesus carried it all on the cross. You see even the mentality that you have. Kwa nini ninateseka na Mungu alimaliza yote? Ukienda kwa kitabu cha Proverbs, it says a little fold of the hand and a little slumber. Yani ulale tu kidogo pumzike kidogo. And what does it do? Poverty attacks like an armed robber. Juu tunapenda kupumzika sana. God has only recommended one day to rest lean. Na ni Sunday peke yake. Kuna siku ingine. It's one day. But you want to rest every day. And that's what we used to do. We are resting every day in the church. Tumecamp. We are okay. Hata ukikaa nje uoni ni issue.
Jesus paid it all.
Jesus paid it all. We should work. Hata mimi sahi poverty by then nimemalizana nayo.
Amen. Amen.
I'm done with poverty.
So tunaingia fashion.
Mimi you ask me because I know what I want.
Yes.
If you want me to make you look good, I'm going back there.
I love that for you.
Napenda. Mimi napenda sana. In fact, I like looking good because hata landlord wangu alikuwa ananiambia, sasa umevaa tu hivyo vizuri na una pesa. Ati hujanilipa, unakula.
Unang'ara na hujalipa rent.
Kila siku anaona umeenda, umerudi. But now, juu bado hujanifungia nyumba. Mimi siwezi tembea kama niko shagi. Mimi nitang'ara. By the way, I love looking good. Na ni kutoka niko mtoto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's your gift from God to you.
Yeah.
Because
Amen.
I believe God has given us gifts. And anyone that says it's okay for you not to exercise those gifts, anakupoteza.
Acha tufanye kazi, tukue matajiri.
Amen.
Because ukikaa, nothing will come in. And you know, if I borrow from you daily, you also get tired. Hata wewe utaniblock, lakini usiniblock. Lakini usiniblock. Mimi nimeblokiwa. Wewe mimi nimeblokiwa.
Watu wamekublock.
Nimeblokiwa sana.
I hope this is the end of it.
Amen.
I honestly hope this is the end of it. No, I hope this is the end of it.
Ati sasa hata tu hujasema unasikia tu ting ting. Ukienda kupiga tena, you are busy. Do. I'm used to that, but sio tena.
Not anymore.
Siko hiyo part tena because I fear poverty. Imenionyesha mambo
poverty is the enemy.
Not si hata not because that you are stupid ama ni unajipata tu kwa situations zenye hata saa zingine huwezi jitoa. Lakini mimi sahi I'm done with the poverty.
Good.
Hata mtoto wangu alikuwa anasema hapo tukitoka kwa Lynn tutakula nyama leo.
That's on me. Like honestly, that's on me. No, that's on me. Like honestly, acha nikaite. Takukauliza hiyo story ya church phobia. Na shule nasikia aliperform poa. Ameitwa uni.
He did well. Alikuwa ananiambia portals zimeanza, though he was applying for Mastercard. So we are hoping.
Mastercard Foundation.
Because yeye hataki kusomea huku. Ako na hope za kuenda
majuu. God ana come through. God ana come through. Chani muite kidogo. We hear from him. Sorry guys, give me just 1 minute so that we can get to hear from him kidogo and then we wrap this up. But before I get to talk to him, what is your parting shot to our people?
My parting shot is, dear team LNN, thank you for listening to me. And I would like to advise you, please, let us be wise. That is normally my word. Let us be wise. Wisdom above all. That is the greatest gift we can all have.
Yes.
Let us be wise in terms of everything that you do. Be it your children, be it you personally, be it your finances. Let us be wise. Spiritual matters, let us be wise. And this spiritual matters ndio kwenye tumeangukia sana.
Yeah.
That's where most of us are fallen victims. Please let us be so wise. And another thing, when you are helping, please don't show it off. It really affects. It really affects, by the way. It comes in a, I don't know how to put it, but it affects someone in a way. Yeah. And I'm so glad I had the chance to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, me too. I'm so glad. Mi nataka nione hiyo fashion yako, nataka nione uki-experience hiyo sanity of the mind, nataka nione uki-experience joy, happiness. I want you to look back even on this interview and see the people. Mi hata hujatufungua like macho sijui kuhusu cult ama nini. You've really taught us why it's important to look back and reflect and want to start again.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's really powerful. Like it's important to jue, yeah, this happened, lakini we are putting an end to this, and we don't have to blame everything on generational curses. We take responsibility or anybody. We take responsibility, we start our life and we own it up.
Yeah.
Thank
Another thing,
yes,
what you can keep private, please
private.
let it private. Let it remain private. What you can keep private, nimesema be wise, and what you can keep private, let it remain private.
Good.
Usiende ukijianika. It is very dangerous. Because even that's where the devil anapata loophole. Sasa ya kukutorment vizuri.
Anajua you are suffering from, let me use
it. Na sasa labda mwenye uko umeambia atatumia hiyo kukuattack. So what we can keep private, keep it private and be wise. Wisdom.
Beautiful.
That is the greatest gift. Enye Esther Solomon aliulizia kwa Biblia. And that's what I've been asking God for. Na naona ananiongoza.
Good. Go on. Keep at it. Sijui nani anachimba hapa juu, but all the best. But let's listen to the boy guys kidogo and then we wrap it up. Sawa sawa? All right. So hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great and a bit tense.
Why?
I'm in Lynn Ngugi's studio.
Come on. What do you mean?
Like, yeah, this is a place that you only see on YouTube and you say, guy, how... But today I'm here physically and I feel really, really, really good.
Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's very beautiful and cozy actually.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here. I just had a conversation with Mom and I know we had requested you to step out
Okay.
just in case. But tell me, what's your name and how do you feel about your mom?
So my name is Fezil.
Yeah.
I'm Pella.
Yeah.
And I'm 17 years and I'm a child to a single mother of one. So to my mom, I really feel like she is the best actually, because since I was born, she's the only person who has ever been consistently in my life. She's always there constantly.
Yeah.
And although sometimes we have disagreements, sometimes we have many challenges, sometimes there is that pressure, sometimes there is that point in life where you feel like I want to give up, but I always look up to her because she has always been there. She has been down, she has been up, she has fought for me. And no one has ever really fought for me.
Yeah.
She is the only person who has held my hand up to now. I'm 17 years old and it has been a really, really long journey. And I really thank God that I'm here today.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
She's a constant in your life.
She has always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless of the situation, she has always been there. And I really thank her because we've been through a lot and she has never seen me as a burden or sometimes regretted, like if you kama ungekuja hapa, things would have been different. But she always tells me that sometimes I always even have hope nakuanga na hiyo nguvu because you're here. Because if I sleep up or I relax, then I will fail as a parent. And I really thank her for putting that effort and pressure and really grinding, because if it was not for her hard work, Lynn saizi tungekuwa hapa na wewe.
Ingekuwa hard.
Saizi ningekuwa maybe a chokora or a thief robbing people around the streets. But I'm here with you today.
And I'm glad you're here. She spoke so highly of you. You know, we are going to go to the disagreements kidogo because I know one of them is she said you have church phobia.
Yeah.
But before that, you just finished high school.
Yeah, I did.
How was that for you? And maybe would you, if you're okay sharing the performance and how does the future look like for you in terms of education?
So yeah, I did quite well.
Yeah.
I got an A of 82 points.
Oh my goodness, God.
And actually it was, I wasn't expecting that. Yes, I've been performing quite well, but by the time I was doing the paper, I had a lot in my mind. So when the results came out, I was shocked actually, because nilikuwa naangalia nasema, this is not possible, because when I was doing that paper, I don't think I was ever at my best. Because a lot was going through my mind, I had a lot of things, but I really thank God because he came through.
Amen.
Yeah, and I thank God because he did not let my efforts go to waste.
Good.
Because I studied hard, I worked smart, and God really showed me the results and the fruit of my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your dream like? Where do we go from here? Mom was like, he has a dream of going abroad. Is that so? And where do we go from here?
Yeah, actually that is my aim as per now. I want to go to America, especially MIT.
Whoa, whoa.
Like, that has always been my dream school.
You can tell them what MIT means.
Oh, MIT stands for Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
It is based in Cambridge, Boston.
Yes.
So actually it is ranked among the top 5 universities globally. And the thing that really fascinated me with MIT, it is their STEM principle. There's, is it science, technology, engineering, and mathematics?
Yes.
So like they're deeply rooted in those things. And personally, I'm very passionate, with things like math, chemistry, physics. I really love those things. And that has always been my goal, like MIT. Yeah, and personally, I want to become a chemical engineer.
Go.
Yeah, and if not, because sometimes there is a change of heart, I wanted to become a hedge fund manager also, investor.
Yes.
Yeah, because you see people like, what's this guy's name? The CEO of JP Morgan.
Yeah.
Jamie. Yeah, that guy has really nice insights. He's one of my role models actually, because he understands the financial markets. He has built an empire that he just found it was normal, but he has
something great has,
yeah, because actually he is the CEO of the largest bank in the world actually, and he is the one who has overseen that entire process and procedure. And people like those are the people like I've been really trying to, I want to get there to that point. I want to get to a point that I can influence other people. I can not just influence people, but positively influence people.
Not just influence, but positively
influence
people. Keyword, positively.
Yeah, positively.
Influence people.
The bad influence and the good influence. And I want to be a good influence to the society. I want to help where I can. When things are wrong, I want to influence for things to go right. Not only in my perspective, but to help other people.
Yeah. I really, that's amazing. Like, I wish you all the best. And I can't wait for the day I get a text from you telling me, Lynn, I'm flying out tomorrow. And I got admitted to MIT. I'll be like, yay, that's really good.
Yeah, that's my dream school. Yeah. So I've been trying. It has been my wish to go to these top universities. In the US, they call them Ivy Leagues, the likes of Yale, Harvard, Princeton. So, because, nothing is impossible. And Mom always say impossible is for the unwilling. And I actually agree. Because when you set your heart into something, regardless of how long it will take, but if you have that goal in mind, it might take 10 years or even 5 years or even 2 months, or even a year, but if you are willing to put in the work and to just
work hard
and just keep that desire burning, actually you will get there. And I believe that it may not happen now, tomorrow, a day after tomorrow, but all I know is that it will happen
someday.
Yeah, destiny can be delayed but not denied.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. We can't do mic drop for that. Destiny can be delayed but not denied. Man, you're so cool. Let's talk about church phobia. Mom says you have church phobia. Why?
I think it's about from my experiences and from what I've seen. Waswahili walikuwa wahenga walisema ukiona mwenzako amenyolewa unatia chako maji, si ndio?
Nakwambia.
Unatia kabisa. Hata ukija kunyolewa inateleza tu.
Yeah.
So like with Mom's experience, that is when I started having church phobia, because I don't know how to put it this way. Like the way she started, she was like, this is someone you are used to. Kuna vitu umezoea. Then she just suddenly changes. That is very hard. But, kuna kwangana logic and emotions. And what I've really come to realize that these religious leaders, they really know how to manipulate our emotions. And once you manipulate someone's emotion, you can really control them to your will and bend them to your will. And from what I've seen and from the from what people are saying about pastors and church and those religious leaders, you even get really bitter and discouraged. Because nowadays, the name of God is a business.
A good business.
It's a very lucrative business. Mtu anakuja hapo, anafungua kanisa, that's a business. Anakuja anakudanganya, anakuja congregation, anaambia sijui fanyeni hivi, the world is ending, sell your property, sijui the world is doing what. Someone comes and tell you that, you are healed, don't take your medication. Oh, God is going to do this for you. Oh, God told me this about you. And in their heart, they are lying. Maybe I'm there looking for a place where I can feel safe, where I'm trying to connect with my God, but you're taking advantage of my vulnerability. You want to profit out of my sorrows and my misery and my needs and my wants. And even right now, if you look at the religious sin, it is just something else. You know, a church or a religious institution is somewhere where you're supposed to be safe. It's where you're supposed to seek refuge when you're in danger or when you're in need. But nowadays, it's actually the opposite. You go there, instead of feeling safe, you're being stoned. Instead of getting help, you're being turned away. And it's not that they can't help or they cannot make you safe or they cannot make the environment safe. They encourage the toxicity in the environment. And when you're in a toxic environment, you yourself, you become toxically. And I don't want that for me and for my generation. How can you come and tell me that Mungu aliniambia kukuhusu? At yesterday, I was with God. At God called, Mungu alikuja kwa ndoto akaniambia kitu kukuhusu. Why didn't God come and just talk to me directly? Lynn. So people and false prophets. So unaona vitu kama hizo. Then, because they know what you want or your problem, so that is what they'll use to lure you in. So you lose your independent thinking, you lose logical thinking, you lose everything. So you are a robot. Do this, you're turning. You do this, you're turning. And personally, I don't want that. And as much as I try to maybe convince myself that, okay, maybe I was in the wrong place. Maybe let me try to find a new place. The place that I go to, I find it's way worse. Lynn. And I don't feel comfortable someone taking advantage of me or someone trying to use the name of God. And actually, I'm not comfortable with blasphemy, because nowadays that is the norm of the day, especially in churches. God said, Jesus said.
Si akuja aniambie.
Akuja aniambie, hata mimi, hata I'm his own son. He can just talk to me the way he's talking to you. So churches nowadays is an enterprise, an empire. People are just coming. Yes, wanakuja hapo na they come with their things, and I don't want to but yeah. But you see, if hata wewe mwenyewe ukikaa, you feel there is something off.
Weird.
Then plus, even look at the congregation, and let me just, majority of us, we are readers of the word, but we are not doers of the word. Someone anaishi kwa kanisa from morning to morning, but when you look at the character, it does not reflect on what pale wanashinda kinyana. You find someone really praying, baka you feel, oh guy, this person is a really good prayer, but their characters outside here
inakatana,
very pathetic, hata yambatani kabisa. Even sasa unasema, these are people who call themselves children, sons and daughters of God. Madam Lynn. Sasa then you become a collective. That's what ukitambia, wale ile achana now, because you are not practicing what you are reading. We are not doers of the word. We just read. Tukishatoka kwa kanisa tumefunga Biblia basi. Ukitoka hapo church, hata uja digest kenye umefunzwa, other start gossiping. Yani tu some vice and viruses, especially in the church. And that is really disappointing. very, very disappointing. Because as children of God, majority of us, we've really strayed away from God.
A lot.
We've really strayed away, very, very far away.
When mom was told not to take medicine, she's healed, did that scare you?
Yes, and we really had a very nasty argument about it. Because when that time she was being told not to take her medication, she kind of started getting worse. Because even her body reduced a lot. Then kaambia, wewe unaambiwa you are healed. Where is the evidence? Have you gone to be checked so that you can know that you're totally healed? Naambia, you don't worry, I have faith. Naambia, some things are not about, some things are logical. Please, and so that time, there's a time we really fought. Like we were living in the same house, but it's like we were strangers. We don't see eye to eye. Because you know your life is at risk, but you still insist on doing something dangerous or living the thing that's going to help you. So that time I was really mad. I was really angry because at the end of the day, she is her own person, Lynn. True or false? True. She is the adult. That to me, I'm just the son who has my own opinions. And she had her own opinions, I had my own opinions. And it's so sad that she did not even take a minute to consider about my options and my opinion. Wow. So that thing really, really put a big dent in our relationship. Because being a single mother, she's the only person that I'm looking up on. If she dies, I have no one else. It's only her. Yeah. Then you just go and make a decision without even thinking about the repercussions. That time I was really frustrated because this is just someone who comes and tell you that you are healed and they don't even have a relationship with you. They don't know how you... That was a very, very, very difficult moment.
I can imagine.
Because she began and she did not have the end in mind. She did not even stop for a minute to think about the repercussions. That is the time I permanently drew a line with the church and the people of God and these religious institutions. Because if you can convince someone who has a threatening condition to abandon a medication, what else can't you do? So that thing really put a strain on me, mentally, physically. At that time I was not even thinking straight. Because then kuna that resentment. Because actually she was selfish. Because she did not think about me. She just thought of what she was told. And to me, I felt that was really, really selfish of her. As much as you have faith, you have to take care of yourself.
You felt like an afterthought.
I felt because, if she died then, who was there to look after me? Who was there to make sure that I'm in school? Who was there to make sure that I'm always okay? Because as a mother, that was her job. And as a mother, she has always been there to make sure that I'm okay. I'm in check. I am okay health-wise, physically, mentally. But that time, I felt like she just forgot all that. And when you try to talk to her, it's become something else. So you just keep quiet and stay with your peace. Hapo sana ile unasemanga acha tu niachane nayo. Yeah. Because when you ask or when you bring it up, it becomes something else.
Vita.
Inakuwa vita. You end up arguing like the whole night or the whole day. So you just say, let it be. And personally, I'm not a person to keep on arguing. Yeah, if something can be avoided, I leave it aside. Yeah, or if it can be dealt with, I deal with it. If it can be avoided at all cost, I just leave it aside. Because that time was a really, 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 really hard time. Yeah.
Do you think that was a cult?
Yeah, it was a cult. Because, you know, there are things that people do. You say it's normal, but there are things that are done. So this is not normal. And what was, yani vitu ilikuwa, even from the way they, from the dressing to there is something just totally off. And you know, when your intuition keeps telling you there's something wrong, there's always something wrong. Your spirit, kuna hiyo that intuition. Your intuition cannot lie to you. Kuna kwanga na hiyo flight or fight. It always kicks in and it's never wrong. That's to alert you that there is something. And I was young at the time, but I knew there was something wrong. Because there are some things that you do, it's normal, but there are some things you cannot.
Weird.
Very, totally weird. And so since that's where I started losing interest in church, and I drew a line, a boundary with church. Yeah. So siku hiyo naambia I'll just pray for myself. Because what that man that man of God that you're going to every Sunday, that church service, is also praying to the same God that I'm praying to at home. Yeah, so I read my Bible. If it's on that Sunday, I read a scripture, I pray, and I tell God, guide me and be with me because I know you're here with me. And that is enough. Yeah.
How do you feel that she left?
Relieved. Because now I got my mother back fully. I got the logical mother that I had, the emotionally supportive mother that I had, and let me just say I got her back, and I really feel like at least our relationship is not as strained as it was before. Yeah.
What's your relationship with God now? You.
Personally, I cannot. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Yeah. So, because life is spiritual, everything that happens around us, it has to be manifested in the world of spirit. So my relationship with God is actually, I can say, pretty good. Because as much as possible, I try to practice the word, yeah, and read it as much as possible, and try to understand spirituality instead of religion. Because we have many religions, but also they also believe in spirituality and certain things. So when I understand the spirituality side of things,
yeah,
I feel like I'm better equipped, yeah, even to talk to my God, because Bia Mungu imekuja, this and this has happened, I do not feel okay, or this and this happened, yeah. So my relationship with God right now, I cannot say it's strained or it's estranged,
but you know what you have.
I know what I have
with God.
Yeah, I know when some things happened, these are not normal. When some things happened, these are not normal. Yani, kuna vile I'm realizing and learning.
Good.
Yeah.
Lovely. Finally, she spoke about you telling her the truth and saying, Mom, you are here because of the choices that you made. And she also spoke about your views on generational curses, that people need to take responsibility of their choices and not say, I'm like this because our family, this and this and that. What do you think?
Yeah, it's true, because, you know, every action has a repercussion. Our actions have repercussions. And right now, I do feel like this situation that we're in is because of the choices she made. If she could have chosen better, or done better, or just stop to think for a minute, it could have been better. Yeah.
Kweli.
Yeah, and we have this thing of justifying society justifies a lot, especially when they're wrong. So when your life is not going right, maybe you did something which is slightly not right. You start maybe saying the generation curses, my grandmother did this, this and that. So maybe that is in me. I believe there are these curses. Because there's one friend of mine who told me there's something called credit, spiritual credit. Like whatever you as Lynn Ngugi do right now, you are saving for your generation. So like I believe that there is that spirituality credit. Whatever even me right now, what I'm doing, my generation will be affected in some way. So I believe in generational curses, they're there. But I think people should be accountable for their actions and their choices. You should not say, oh, this and this happened. No. Because accountability really matters. When you're wrong, you say, I'm wrong, and you say sorry. But not saying, no, it was a moment of weakness. I found myself in a tight spot, in a tight situation. No. Because we always have a choice. I believe that at the end, there's always a choice.
Yeah.
And we choose. We choose willingly. Or it may not be willing, but we always have to make a choice at the end of the day. And I want to just say that people should be accountable for their actions and their choices. And you choose wisely. Because yeah, every action there must be a reaction. With every action, there must be a reaction.
Good.
So before you choose something or you just walk into something, begin with the end in mind. I'm starting this right now, but at the end, how does it look like? What is the outcome of it? Because majority of us, we just start.
No end in mind.
Yeah, unafungua mtu anakuambia kuja tuanze biashara ya kuuza gari. Nakuja unaekelea hapo pesa. But you don't even have a market, you don't have connections. Wewe tu ulisikia ukaingia ama uliona kila mtu anafanya tu kama kufanya. But you do not look at the long term, the short term. Unasema maybe this is a small term investment. Let me do this for a while.
True.
This is a long term investment. It will service me for the next 20 to 30 years. But most of us, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We're just thinking of the present. We want now. We are not thinking about the next minute or the minute after that or the next hour. So majority of us, we make wrong choices because we think of the present.
Yeah.
You don't have the future, or you have no regard for the future. Maybe each day at a time. Unasemanga each day at a time. Leo, kesho.
Yeah.
But you don't have that long-term goal or the long-term plan
in mind.
Yeah, you don't have it. Wewe sasa uko hapo tu.
And before we wind up, I know there are a lot of young people who will watch this and their parents are still in these places. What would you love to tell any young person that is going through what maybe you've gone through before and they are still at it?
What I can tell the young people, the youth, like, understand yourself. Be your own person. Do not be your mother's person or your father's person. Be your own person, have your own values and have your own principles and have your own goals. Because your goals are not like mine, Lynn. My mom's goals are not my goals.
True.
Everyone is an individual. And we have individual goals, principles, and personalities. So the question is, do you understand yourself? Right now you are maybe under 18, you are under your parents' wing. But in a few years to come, will you be your mother's person or your father's person or your family's person?
You will be your own person.
You will be your own person, Lynn. At some point it will be me, not our. There's a quote I saw that there's a friend of mine who posted on TikTok and said, after 25 years, you coming from a bag, ukishapitisha 25, usiseme I come from a humble
poor background.
Say I am a poor background.
No more excuses.
Yeah, because why are you still in that position?
Why are you still making excuses?
Why are you making excuses? Why are you in a position to make excuses?
I'm a poor background.
Because 22 or 21, we are still depending on our parents because that is the time we are winding up in campus.
Yes.
At 25, maybe you're making and you're still maybe at home. At 25 now, you're supposed to be your own person. So stop saying I come from a humble background. When you're above 25, it's you. I am a background. So what are you planning for the future?
What background?
What do unataka wajukuu wako waseme background yangu inakaaje, or your kids?
Profound.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so we should, I think with every action that we take, you should consider the pros and the cons. Because majority, we always look at the pros. So you should just sit down, take a minute, absorb and consider your choices. Yeah? Even if your parents they are strict, but provided you're your own person, you cannot go astray, and you have your own principles and you stick to them. Do not, as much as you're being pressured, don't let people make wrong choices for you.
Good.
Because at the end of the day, you'll make a choice for me, but mimi ndo kiatu ntava, mimi ndo itanifinya. Si wewe ndo itamfinya.
Ni mimi.
Mimi ndo nitafinywa, mimi ndo nitapata blisters kwa miguu. It's not them. And I always advocate that you do what's good for you, not what's good for what or other mtu mwingine anaona ni mzuri kwako. If you feel you are in a place that you're being wasted, but others are still pushing you, no, you do you, because at the end of the day, sio ndo anaumia. Si wewe ndo utaenda kazi, boss anakutokana from morning to morning, but mama yako kwa nyuma anakuambia tu vumilia. Si ndo anatukana. She's not the one who's being always summoned and being paraded in front of the other workers. It's you.
It's you.
So you do you, be your own person. Do not feel pressured, and always do the right thing. Regardless, never compromise your integrity. Do the right thing. Regardless of the position and the situation. Utapigwa mawe, utarushiwa mawe, but always do the right thing. Because wrong is wrong, even if everyone else is doing it.
Still wrong.
It's still wrong, but right is right, even
just
if you're the only one.
Just because everyone is doing it doesn't make it right.
It does not make it right. And majority of us, especially youths, we have gone astray because kuna hiyo peer pressure. Unaona kila mtu. Unaona, my friends are doing this. Oh I don't want to be left behind. Fear of missing out.
So you do it. But when unaumia at the end of the day. Uliona mwenzako anavuta weed, kasema live, wana navuta, si hata mimi nijaribu. Yes.
At the end of the day, wewe yeye atapelekwa rehab UK, wewe utaenda wapi? Then kuna understand like I'm saying, understand yourself. Even with the people you interact with and the people you associate with. Understand yourself. You can be having your friend there. They come from Runda, Gigiri, those high-end places. You come from Kibera or just somewhere. You find them doing drugs. If they get hooked, their parents are willing to invest in them.
They are good to go.
They are good to go. Who? You.
Where do you go?
Your mom maybe washes clothes, or you are your own sole provider. Where do you go?
Jijue.
People should understand themselves. And don't go with the crowd. Jijue kabisa. Kaa hivi chini, jikague, useme this is me.
Good.
Yeah. I am Fazel. This is what I want. These are my goals. These are my aspirations. You are Lynn. I am Lynn. This is my goals. These are my aspirations.
Then kaa
hivo.
Leni yako.
Don't get mixed up. Because we are not all the same.
And I've loved hearing this. Allow me to say, from a 17-year-old, it's so profound. Like, it gives me hope that if this is the generation and these are their thoughts and this is the kind of future we are looking at, then I think we're in a good space. I think we're in a good space because you are teaching us so many things. I don't think I would ever have questioned my mom about her religious beliefs. I don't think even many millennials who are watching would ever ask their moms or their parents, why are you going to this church? What do you mean you shouldn't take your medicine? What do you mean you are telling me about like, we never held our parents accountable, and I'm pretty sure they also never held their parents accountable. So to witness a generation that is saying, I am not my mother's person, I am me, at 17 is absolutely like, it's a relief. It's a relief. And to see that your mom can now look back and say you are part of her sanity, because not only did you hold her accountable, but also because of the beliefs that you have. Me, I'm happy. I'm happy. Twende tukule nyama. Vibaya sana. Shukran sana.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I want to wind up, but I really wish you all the best. If MIT is your dream and that's God's will, kaende. Kama God amesema unaenda MIT, then MIT it is, you know. And I honestly know I'm going to get some really good feedback from you. Because we are buddies. Now you are my cousin. Now you are my cousin. I'll be saying my cousin is a MIT, baby. You get what I'm saying? But anyways, I really wish you all the best. You have an incredible mom, regardless of the things she has done, her past. I love that she's starting life right now. No, do you want to add? Feel free. I see like you want to say something.
So at least I'm grateful because she was accountable for her action. And right now, like, she's starting all over again. On a clean slate. And I really want it to be a clean, totally, like, tunaanza a new journey. And although we have had many quarrels and wrangles and strained relationships, she is the best.
She is the best.
She's unreplaceable. And everyone out there, uko na mama anakushikilia mkono, akutmistreat, always there for you, go and give that woman a big hug. Because the mothers, good mothers, are very hard to come by. And your mother is your second God. Minambianga mama we ni Mungu wangu wa pili. And make sure that you take good care of your mothers out here. Do not let your mom suffer, especially if she invested in you. And she was there for you, and she took good care of you. She's your mom at the end of the day. Make sure that you appreciate her every chance that you get, because they're not going to be here forever. At a few years to come, they'll be gone. And we'll be our own people. And some of us will also be parents. So make sure that you appreciate them each and every step of the way.
Every opportunity
that you get, make sure you acknowledge them, hold their hand, and always appreciate them regardless of the situation. Because mothers are champions. Very, very big champions.
Our cousin. Ushasema.
And really, I'm really grateful for you having me. And thank you for the engaging conversation.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
You're such a decent young man. It's a sign of relief. And I can't wait to see this happening. Actually, for the first time, now I understand why you guys are turning out to be this great. Question everything. Kila kitu.
The generation, the millennials and the Gen X, like, unaambiwa ufanye, lakini you're not being questioned. Like, ilikuwa military. Unajua military ndio wanapatiwa orders, you just have to do them. You don't have obey. But so right now we're in a point where you have to question everything. Mbona nifanye kwa nini? Kwa nini mimi na kwa nini si wewe?
Wewe cousin. Lakini si vyombo na nyumba. Usemi mbona nioshe vyombo na si wewe? Unauliza mbona kuna these things,
life choices. Why are you pushing me so hard to do this thing that I don't want
to do? Low.
Why?
And me, I'm telling you, I want
to be a doctor. Why I want to be an engineer, you're telling me to be a chemist? Why?
No.
I want to be a teacher, you want me to go to finance? Why? At the end of the day, like I said, mimi ndo hiyo kiatu itakuwa inanifinya.
Si wewe.
Wewe you've lived your life, you've done your things, you've enjoyed your life.
Let me live mine.
Let me try to navigate mine.
I love that.
Yeah.
God. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Obviously, I don't want to let you go, but I want to wind up
It's okay.
so that our people can also tell us what they think on the comment section. Mine is that which God has in plan for you, whether it's MIT, whether it's Princeton, whether it's Yale, whether it's Harvard, whether it's UN, whether it's JKUAT, that which God has in store for you, may his will in your life be done.
Amen.
May his will in your life be done, for he's the one who knows the plan. And I know his plans for us are plans of greatness. Yes. Greatness, not mediocre, but greatness.
We don't serve a mediocre God.
Vibaya, no, we cannot. How shall we? We don't. Sindio. Guys, we are still going by road. Thank you so much for watching this particular episode. It's been amazing just having these conversations. And me, by the way, I feel like the whole point of even us having had those conversations was to arrive at this particular person that I'm looking at right now. Because what this person has even taught me, I didn't think the conversation would turn out that way, but what he has given me is an idea of the kind of country that we are going to have. Because I know we have our parents who are stuck in these beliefs. We have our parents who are stuck in these generational things. But then now you have a generation heads on telling you, I don't think this is right. And these are people that are also taking time to have a connection with God. They are reading their own Bibles. They are meditating in the word of God. And they are eliminating any possible loophole that the devil can use to manipulate them. So for me, I feel absolutely relieved just to know that this is where we are arriving, because I can't now wait to see the generation after him and their reasoning. But as always interested in your feedback on the comment section. As you know, here we we come through, elevate, we come and have these thought-provoking conversations together. So if you would want to get hold of Molly, if you guys have been touched by her story, whatever it is that you guys want to talk to her about, her number is right here on the screen and also pinned on the comment section down below. Let us send her son beautiful vibes. Let us, even if you are able to just put him in your prayers, like, let's send him beautiful vibes, because I know, man, anyone that has dreamt of going to institutes such as MIT, I know this is not. And as he has said, God is not a mediocre God. So send your well thoughts to this family and let me know what your take home has been on the comment section. Sawa sawa. Yeah, me, I'm about to bounce. Thank you to our amazing partners at Kings Developers Limited for always coming through. Go get yourself a home with them. Check them out. Their numbers are on the screen. And also a huge shout out to you guys for getting us to almost 1.2 million subscribers. Najua sasa muna watch kabla mdecide kama mtaripot ama mtaripot. Ni muhimu muna watch na pia muna subscribe na tunaendelea vivyo hivyo. Sini sawa? EJ says road to 1.5 million subscribers. So if you're watching this and you've not, please try subscribing. It's absolutely free and it goes a long way into making sure our work reaches a wide range of audience. My name is Lynn Ngugi. How about I see you maybe tomorrow or next week, 10 a.m. or 7 p.m. Bye-bye.